It's 1978. Jose is 16 years old. He lives with his family on a ranch near Erlenmark, Tulare County. It's a beautiful place, surrounded by Californian vineyards. One day, his sister Cecilia has a request.
She went and told me, hey bro, can you play with Julio to meet this guy? I said, sure, sister, why not? And I took my sister to this little house to find her stupid friend. Well, I didn't feel comfortable going inside with her. Okay, months passed by and she never came home. First, they found her car, and then they found her body.
Jose was the last person to see Cecilia alive, but when he made a witness statement,
I didn't want to give the full explanation because I want to get them. I didn't want the cops to find them. I want to find them myself. We went to this little house. We broke in there, and we found one. I shot him.
He then went on to shoot 2 more people who were also in the house. A cold-blooded triple homicide at the age of 16. In the following decades, Jose will kill more than 30 people. What begins with a young act of revenge ends in one of the most ruthless hitmen for the Mexican drug cartels. His victims are scattered across the entire U.S., and of course, in his home county of Tulare. He has taken the lives of both young and old, drug dealers and farm workers, fathers and husbands. It will take over 30 years and police from 3 different states to bring him down. This is the story of Jose Manuel Martinez, El Mano Negra, the Black Hand, one of America's deadliest hitmen.
Okay.
We love animation and deep research, but it's expensive. That's why we have sponsors on this channel.
You know, before I ever met him, I talked to a lot of police officers, you know, homicide detectives, murder detectives, who had dealt with him. And they all said the same thing, which is, when you meet him, he is the most charming person you will ever meet.
This is Jessica Garrison, a journalist and author. In 2017, she met Jose in prison for a BuzzFeed News investigation and her book, The Devil's Harvest.
The perspective of his family was that he was the person in the family who always took care of them. If you were in the hospital, he was the person that would come visit you. If the hospital wouldn't let you in, he was the person that would find a way to hoist children up to the window so they could wave at you. I think he was not a person who anyone who just first met him ever suspected of being a multiple murderer.
How does a polite, loving family man turn into a mass murderer?
As a chameleon.
Martinez is born in 1962 in Fresno, California. He's a U.S. citizen, but he grows up in Mexico until the age of 11.
Chameleon.
He then moves with his family to a ranch near Erlenmark. At the time, Tulare is the poorest county in California. His stepfather organizes laborers for the wine industry, and as a side business, deals drugs. At the age of 14, Martinez is sent on his first drug courier trip by bus. Later, he uses his own car. As a bilingual, U.S.-born teenager, Martinez can easily stay under the radar with authorities. In 1977, the police raid his family's ranch. They confiscate $2.5 million worth of heroin and various weapons. Then in 1978, while his stepfather was in custody, Cecilia is murdered. Martinez said that he was a nice man until they killed his sister. Since then, he said fuck the Rippers and the child molesters. So he did in 1979. His first victim is David Bedoya. A friend tells Martinez that Bedoya ripped his sister. Martinez does the job for $500. His first murder for money. In 1982, he meets a man from a Mexican drug cartel, most likely Sinaloa. He only refers to him as Mr. X.
Who?
Mr. X was involved in the moving of large amounts of narcotics, drugs from, Mexico through California and to points beyond. And Mr. X, gave Mr. Martinez numerous jobs killing people.
Gotcha.
Not every job for Mr. X is directly related to murder. Most of the time, Martinez is tasked with collecting debts from small-time drug dealers. He receives his assignment through phone calls or brief personal meetings.
You know, a lot of it is sold on spec. I give you the drugs, you sell the drugs, you give some of the money back to me, right? But if you take the drugs and you don't give the money back to me, we have a problem. Then Jose Martinez would go and collect that money.
Martinez does end up in jail several times. For example, in 1990 because of his drug courier activities. But he is never charged with his murders. That's weird, because his name does appear in several homicide cases going back all the way to 1979.
Huh?
I mean, it's fine. If you turn up in one murder case, maybe that's bad luck. 2, maybe a coincidence. 7 or 8, you gotta be like, huh, what's happening here?
In hindsight, it's difficult to understand why no one connected the dots back then. It will take many years and several victims before someone picks up Martinez's trail.
I'm so confused. Is there some sort of cross system that like
November 2006, Martinez flies to Florida to deal with a 20-year-old named Javier Huerta. Javier is accused of stealing 10 kilograms of cocaine worth around $170,000. Martinez keeps a close eye on Huerta for a few days, and then he decides to strike.
I called Javier Huerta. They told me that you're a Missouri worker, and I want you to come so you can give me an estimate price for my house. They got in, I locked the door. When I turned out, I had my guns out. My hit the floor, and this I'm gonna finally tell you. You stole 10 kilos from cocaine from me. If you don't get my money in 30 minutes, I'm gonna call my friend that is outside your house, and he's gonna shoot your family.
Martinez gets the money. $150,000 are buried in Huerta's garden. He shoots Huerta and his colleague 4 times each. He binds their hands with zip ties and puts their bodies in Huerta's truck. He takes the car and drives it to the outskirts of a national park, smoking a cigarette on the way, perhaps to calm down. After the job, Martinez flies directly to his daughter's home in Alabama. His granddaughter is celebrating her birthday. He wants to use the money he just earned to make her happy.
I got her. I took her to Toys R Us, where a kid can be a kid. I told her, babe, because I love you with all my heart, me and you, we're gonna walk in the store, and for 1 hour, you can pick whatever you want, okay?
While Martinez is treating his granddaughter at Toys R Us, investigators in Florida discover Huerta's truck with the 2 dead bodies. They find a Mountain Dew can in the center console of the vehicle, with a cigarette butt laying in a puddle of the yellow-green liquid. They send the cigarette butt to a lab to check for DNA traces, but the test is not conducted right away. The evaluation probably isn't a big priority. Huerta was a construction worker and had many co-workers in the car with him, so investigators had little hope of a hit. In fact, the results won't reach them until years later.
years?
Martinez escapes conviction for the murder of Huerta, at least for the time being.
2 bodies in a car, they get DNA, and they don't. It takes years for them to fucking get the match or fucking get the result. I don't know what's going on.
In 2009, Martinez kills a man named Joaquin Barragan in Earl Mark for $8,000.
That sounds fucking.
He used a woman
brilliant.
as a lure. She brought drugs from Barragan, contacting Martinez when the meeting was set.
Dude, they have to staff the case, right? When they get a case like that, they have to assign people to this shit, right? You're saying, oh yeah, it's common back then. Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. That every person that's on the job, paid to do this as a for a living, they all went like, oh, I have this in evidence bag. Oh, this and whatever. Yeah, fuck it. I'm moving on, brother. We'll see in a couple of years or some shit. Brother, no shot. What the fuck?
3 days later, Barragan's body is found under a blanket, his hands bound with zip ties. The police questioned many people in Erlenmark about the murder. They learned that Barragan knew he was being pursued by a contract killer known as El Mano Negra, the Black Hand. A woman tells investigators.
Oh, I get it. Drug related, probably. So they go like, oh shit, we don't give a fuck for now. We'll just let it linger or whatever. Because drug cases are so common, they add like their conclusion and they kind of know what's going on until there's like too many of the same person or some shit or like a man. Yeah, I get it.
That Martinez tried to hire her
Kinda
to
like
lure
that.
Barragan to a remote
Most likely.
location. Others say that El Mano Negra is in fact Martinez's nickname. The investigators don't have enough evidence against him, but they still decide to make a move. They arrest Martinez for violating probation, but when they knock on his door, he scrambles out his phone, removes the SIM card, and swallows it. Nothing else on there can incriminate him. When the police question Martinez, he claims that everyone in Erlenmeer is lying, and that he didn't kill Barriga. They send him to prison anyway for violating his probation terms. When Martinez gets out of prison about a half a year later, he directly marches to the Violent Crime Division of the Tulare County Sheriff's Office. He wants his white Chevy Suburban back that the police had seized from him. Martinez agrees to answer a few questions from the police in return. He hints that he is a collector for a Mexican drug cartel from Guadalajara, and he also claims to know that Barragan was murdered, not due to debts, because he was a rat. The investigators are suspicious. They suggest a lie detector test. These aren't technically valid ways of determining a lie, but police will still often use them for investigations. Martinez agrees.
Tell a lie. Investigations.
He's asked several times if he...
Wait, no. Wait, hold on. Chat. Wait. Isn't it they're not reliable to prove anything in court and blah, blah, but it can help tell if somebody's telling the truth or not and further the investigation. It's still good to tell the truth. It helps tell the truth or not. It's just that it's not presentable in court, right? Isn't that how it works? Yeah.
Martinez, of course, denies that he killed him. The lie detector's response to Martinez's answers are clear.
Yeah, but he said it's not good at telling somebody's lying or not.
Still, the investigators' hands are tied.
Well, it is pretty accurate to that.
Without clear evidence of a confession, they can't pin Martinez down. In the end, the black hand once again slips from their grasp. The cigarette butt is still in the lab. The police in Florida have other cases to handle, and they forgot about those bodies in that trunk. It looks like Martinez can just keep going on forever, but then something happens in Alabama. Early 2013, 35 years after the murder of Martinez's sister, 33 years after he shot David Badella for $500, Martinez is now 51 years old. He is once again visiting his daughter in Alabama. He spends a lot of time with his grandchildren, picks them up from school, dresses them up as Disney princesses, and has spa days with them. His daughter knows he's a criminal, but she thinks he's just a smuggler who helps to bring people across the border into the US. While at her home, Martinez has an idea. He learns that a friend of his daughter's partner needs help collecting a debt. He'll help him, but in reality he just wants to learn from the friend a little bit about his daughter's partner, Jaime Romero. Is he a good guy? He meets with a friend named Jose Ruiz. In the car, Martinez asks Ruiz about his daughter's partner. Ruiz says Romero is okay, but he proceeds to call his girlfriend names and a terrible mother. He doesn't realize it's Martinez's daughter. And so, Martinez decides to forgive him, realizing that we're all human on this rotating rock in the void. And naturally, we can all make mistakes. He patiently tells Ruiz, hey, I'm her father, and that's not a kind way to speak about my daughter. No. Martinez decides that Jose Ruiz must die. But not right now. People saw them together, so he returns to California for the time being, and Ruiz is allowed a few more weeks on Earth.
Bro, that much planning and caution and all that just because somebody's talking shit?
On March 4th, 2013, Martinez is back. He goes on a little tour with Romero and Ruiz. They stop to stretch their legs in a remote national park. Martinez pulls out a gun, points it at Ruiz, and says, the woman you insulted is my daughter, you bastard. Then he shoots him twice in the head. He gets back in the car and tells the shocked Romero to drive and better keep this to himself. The police quickly discover the dead Ruiz and find a Walmart receipt with him. They review surveillance cameras and identify a companion of Ruiz. It's Romero. He's arrested and suspected of murder. Shortly afterwards, Martinez contacts the police, providing Romero with an alibi and claiming that they were together at the time of the killing. But the police do not believe him, and Romero remains in custody.
Okay.
1 month later, Martinez is visiting his son in Erlenmeer. Suddenly, the police start banging on the door. Martinez is convinced that they are there because of him. Romero must have talked. He flees the house, and a sheriff deputy named Crystal Darrington gives chase.
No.
In reality, Martinez had nothing to fear. The police officer doesn't know a thing about the murder in Alabama. She had come to visit Martinez's son because she is investigating a series of robberies and hopes for his assistance. She apprehends Martinez and brings him to the
I
station.
said no because I thought he was gonna shoot the person.
A colleague whispers to Darrington that the man she brought in is El Mano Negra, supposedly a contract killer responsible for several murders in the area.
They could arrest Jose Martinez and hold him for being a felon in possession of a gun. And instead, he convinced them to let him go, and he offered to get them, get bad guns off the street. We have a lot of guns everywhere. Many of them are legal, and many of them are illegal. And so the police were interested in kind of getting illegal guns, and Jose Martinez assisted them with this. They thought it was because he didn't want to get locked up. That may be true, but I think it's also because he kind of wanted to keep tabs on, he knew he'd committed this murder in Alabama, he knew he had all these other murders, and he kind of wanted to keep an eye on, did they suspect him?
As Martinez collaborates with the police in California, an unsolved case in Florida is reopened. It's from 2006. The murder is of Javier Huerta. Investigators finally received a lab report regarding the cigarette butt in the Mountain Dew they found all those years ago. They get a hit. The DNA belongs to a man who had previously been in prison, Jose Manuel Martinez. A detective named TJ Watts takes on the murder case. At this point, Martinez is still not their primary suspect. But Watts is puzzled by why a Californian cigarette butt would turn up so far away in Florida. He contacts an investigator in California who tells him Martinez's story, that they know him, that he's been helping them collect illegal weapons, and that he's involved in several murder investigations, but that they can't prove anything against him. But then the investigator in California tells Watts a small but crucial detail. Many of the murders involve the use of zip ties. Watts is intrigued. He also has a few unsolved murders on his desk where zip ties were used. He has a strong suspicion that Martinez might be the person he's looking for. He doesn't seem as a useful informant like the colleagues in California do. Watts believes Martinez might just be a killer. He marks him as person of interest. Meanwhile, Jaime Romero is still locked up in an Alabama prison, facing accusations for the murder of his friend, Jose Ruiz. He is terrified of his father-in-law, who witnessed his cold-bloodedness firsthand. But he can't go to prison. He has a daughter and a life at home. So he calls for the man in charge, Detective McWhorter, and talks. On May 17th, the investigators finally issue an arrest warrant for Martinez on murder charges. When he returns back to the U.S. from a trip to Mexico, Martinez is arrested in it.
Wait, that's wild. So that his only mistake is that he didn't kill enough in that case? Because if he just got both of them right there, he'd been still out there.
Arizona. He learns that there's a warrant out for him for murder. His only question is where the warrant came from. McWhorter is the first to hear about Martinez's arrest at the border. He immediately sets off for Arizona to personally bring him back. On the way back to Alabama, they talk about life, the military, and even share a pizza at the airport. McWhorter is surprised at how little Martinez seems to care about being charged with murder. Upon arriving in Alabama, they are met by Detective Watts. He too had jumped on a plane to interrogate Martinez. Neither detective expects Martinez to confess. Perhaps he would spend time in jail and then make a mistake during a phone call from inside. At best, Martinez might admit to being at the crime scene, but try to blame everything on Romero. But things take a different turn. Martinez confesses almost immediately to killing Ruiz. He also confesses to the murder case in Florida. He provides detailed descriptions of the crime scenes, the number of bullets used, and says, if I had done the job, someone else would have.
Twice that I
But
was
it doesn't end there. Martinez then asks for Crystal Darrington, the deputy sheriff from Tulare. When she arrives in Alabama, he drops a bombshell. He's a contract killer and has killed numerous people. He goes on to confess to one murder after another.
Shot him in the hand with a .22. Took my gun and I shot him in the center in the leg.
I even killed his brother.
It was a long list. I mean, Crystal Darrington said that she was just like frantically texting her bosses, like, oh my God, another one, and then like, I think the next day he's like, oh my gosh, I have another one. it was a shocking list of murders.
He confesses to over 35 murders. Today, it is thought to be over 40.
They went back and reinvestigated all of them. Like, they didn't just take his word for it and tried to make sure it was true. And ultimately, they decided that they believed it.
Martinez is brought to trial for most, but not all of his murders.
Why?
Some cases couldn't.
It's kind of crazy that they put more effort after the fact into the old shit than they did at the time when they had an actual active thing going on. I think that's kind of crazy.
Be resolved. At the time, he even faces the death penalty, which doesn't seem to worry him.
I know I'm gonna go to electric chair. I can go if I die tomorrow.
In the end, Martinez is sentenced to 50 years in prison in Alabama for the murder of Ruiz, life in prison without the possibility of parole in California for 9 murders, and 2 consecutive life sentences in Florida.
So he's gonna have to travel the world then?
Martinez certainly didn't make it easy for the police. He left few traces, often there were no concrete pieces of evidence, and as a hitman, there were usually no direct connections between him and his victims. Especially in the 80s and 90s, police in California had a lot of murders to deal with. They had limited resources. But there is also another reason why Martinez wasn't caught for so long.
There are other people who would say, well, he didn't try that hard to get it, in part because the people that he was killing were not people that created these giant outcry. You know, I mean, he was generally killing people without very much power.
Well, is that is a wilderness take? Who is this lady? He killed nobodies. Everybody's a nobody. When you die, if you get killed, you're a killed person. Who gives a fuck who you are? Like, everybody should have that. What?
I think that was sort of one of the heartbreaking things to me when I started working on this, is that I went and found some of the family members of some of his victims. And many of them said over and over, like, it seems like no one cared that our relative was killed. And so I think that to me was sort of the craziest and most heartbreaking part of this case.
Okay, I understand how priority works. Okay, I get that. Okay. Still, okay, I think if you look at time, like a line, right? Like this, okay? Right? Let's say this is like fucking 20 years. Okay? The margin between somebody importantly has power, right? Actually, it's more like this. And no power. If let's say this is 20 years, right? This is like 0. The margin should be like from like 0 to whatever, right? That should be like a margin that, even at the time, with like DNA shit or whatever, like, yeah, I get it, things are backed up, not priority case, right? But the margin being like fucking 30 years or some shit like that, I mean, even if you have no power, it shouldn't take 30 years. Like, what the fuck? I mean, am I wrong about this? Like, the margin of a priority case over a non-priority case shouldn't be 30 years from 0 to 30. Should be like within still like an acceptable range. I get it, things are priority, but that margin should be pretty slim. You say it shouldn't matter, but I mean, there's a reason why it should matter. I mean, I guess there's, depending on maybe the motive or how they do it or whatever. I mean, imagine you have like some serial fucking torturer out there or whatever, compared to like some fucking drug-related crime. Of course, the one is gonna fucking take over in parody. Like, I think that makes sense. Okay, here it comes. Yo, this is X on the beat, yo. Okay. My voice as well. That is. Anyone knows that boy? I don't know, he's just so soy. Anyone knows that boy? I don't know, he's just so soy. Okay, that was pretty good.
her screaming no.
Well, he's the one just came out, and he's doing well too.
It hurts, stop it. And the screaming, it went on for a few minutes.
I've been cooperative up to this point, and now you're trying to frame murder on me, so...
No, we're not framing it. You're getting hurt. David, what part of we have the...
Oh, hold on.
Framing it. You're getting hurt.
The following video is not legal advice. Do not rely on information in this presentation without speaking to your licensed attorney.
David, what part of we have the whole Blink video are you not understanding?
Maybe she just kind of went over the edge.
In 2020, Gretchen Anthony became so sick that she needs to be hospitalized. But her family had no idea that this was just the beginning of a twisted and shocking case. When no one heard from Gretchen for a few days, they began to fear that she wasn't just sick, she was missing. While investigators began the daunting task of untangling a convoluted web of lies, they never could have expected that the final clue to what actually happened would eventually come from Gretchen herself. In March 2020, 51-year-old Gretchen and her 43-year-old husband, David Anthony, were facing turbulent times. After David lost his job in February, he needed a distraction. Dreaming of distant beaches, David mapped out a solo trip, then packed up his truck. Soon he hit the road, leaving their home in Jupiter and started a long drive from Florida to California, while Gretchen stayed behind and worked. Things started to go south on the weekend of March 21st, 2020, when Gretchen told her friends and family she was feeling ill. Over the next few days, things only got worse. According to her messages, she sought medical treatment at a local emergency room and was transported an hour away to a specialized CDC facility in Belle Glade, Florida, after testing positive for COVID. Then her messages stopped completely. Her radio silence for 3 to 4 days left her family feeling worried, and after several unsuccessful attempts to locate her, they called the police for help. When authorities learned of David's travel plans, they knew they had to catch up with him. Of all people, he seemed most likely to offer clues as to Gretchen's whereabouts, and for all they know, she might have been along for the ride. A week after Gretchen first fell ill, David made it to Las Cruces, New Mexico. There were red and blue lights in his rearview mirror as officers initiated a traffic stop.
Go ahead and get your hands out the vehicle, please. Hands out the vehicle. Driver! He rolled his window up, dude. Get your hands up! Hands up! Hands up so I can see him. Keep him up for me, please.
David is given minimal information from officers as he's handcuffed and detained.
Right now you're being detained for an investigation that's going on in Florida, okay? That's all I know. That's all I can tell you. You're not going to leave here until you talk to some detectives that are on their way.
Bewildered, David complies as authorities ask him for photos. Once the detective arrives, he takes David aside to explain what's happening and records the conversation.
All right, so this is about your wife. Okay, I guess she's been reported missing.
Last I heard, she was in a CDC facility getting treatment for coronavirus.
And see, what makes you believe that?
Our sister texted it to me.
Where's the CDC place at?
She didn't mention that.
According to David, he last saw Gretchen last Saturday, the 21st of March, the same day she later started to feel sick.
Have you had any contact with her since?
No.
No text message or phone calls?
But according to David, things were also a bit off back at home. Recently, their marriage had taken a turn for the worse.
Where does she live at?
She lives in Jupiter.
In Jupiter? Do you live with her?
No.
According to David, he and Gretchen had recently separated, and court documents suggest the same, revealing that Gretchen filed for divorce exactly 1 month prior. Even so, things seemed mostly amicable between the two.
When the last time you talked to your wife, you said it was face-to-face. How was that conversation between the two of you? Was face-to-face?
No argument. Even though we didn't get along, I love her. just can see eye to eye on things, and it's just how things go.
What are some of the things you guys didn't get along about?
She never cooked.
She never cooked?
Sometimes you date a 5 thinking she's a 10, or vice versa. Maybe she thought the same of me, you know?
After a quick glance in his vehicle, authorities can see Gretchen didn't tag along, so they're hopeful David can at least help shed light on her whereabouts. Unfortunately, David can't offer any more details than her family, but he does leave officers with one last thing. In light of her disappearance, something Gretchen mentioned in their last conversation is now leaving him feeling very unsettled.
Wait,
when we talked,
he chose the date or make that remark?
Like, I don't know how much I can share without, like, you know what I mean? Like, she wasn't being in trouble.
Like David, Gretchen's friends and family have a gnawing suspicion that something may not be right, something that goes beyond just her health. Lately, her texts seem strange, with a shift in her communication patterns. Gretchen also sent her daughter Ava messages about limiting her cell phone use. Others received texts that she was in and out of consciousness, and doctors were considering a medically induced coma after she experienced partial lung failure.
Oh, God.
And yet, even when she said she required a ventilator to breathe, she was still able to send texts. Were these strange messages coming from someone else? Were the messages intentional red herrings from Gretchen herself? Only time would tell. It wasn't long before her ex-husband Jeff stopped buying the story altogether.
I found out from a dear friend who's a physician that firstly they don't ship anybody off-site,
Right.
transport anybody off-site.
Right.
There is no CDC or coronavirus task force facility, and any patients that are presenting signs of coronavirus are treated at the hospital. That seemed awfully fishy to me. You know, I was smelling rats left and right.
But it was no secret that Gretchen has been under tremendous pressure lately. Between the divorce with David and other personal issues, it seemed possible that Gretchen just snapped. This prompts police to extend their search to both Gretchen and David's property. Unfortunately for David, after speaking with the detective, the New Mexico authorities execute a search warrant for David's truck and phone. Because he answered all of their questions and there's no evidence that he has any idea where Gretchen might be, the authorities let him go. However, he's now on foot without access to his vehicle, which has been taken into custody, leaving him stranded in the streets of Las Cruces, New Mexico with his husky, Kobe. With David released, authorities continue looking for Gretchen. As there was no sign of her with David, they turn back to Florida. There they gain access to her home to perform a welfare check. But as soon as they get to the garage, what they find, which will soon be revealed, suggests something darker may be at play. In the meantime, they obtain a search warrant, moving carefully from room to room as they comb for clues in this strange case. Right off the bat, a few things stand out as potentially strange. They find a fallen picture frame in Gretchen's upstairs hallway and shattered glass in her bedroom. But some of the most valuable evidence authorities would find, evidence that would spell out Gretchen's recent activity, wasn't physical at all. Instead, it was waiting for them in her cloud storage. By now, it's clear that Gretchen has turned off her phone location completely. Although she was an active user of the Life 360 location app, she was no longer available to her contacts, including her daughter. Looking for answers, police turned to her neighbors and began knocking on doors. What they found out only increased their suspicions.
Notice that there's a stain in the driveway.
Yeah, I did notice the white stain.
Okay.
When Gretchen's sister spoke with another neighbor, she immediately relayed what she learned to the police, something that might explain the unusual stain in Gretchen's driveway.
A woman that lives behind Gretchen. Her name
Is that
is
bleach?
Christy.
Acid?
And I guess she smelled a strong smell of bleach coming from the house.
Though he'd been released in Las Cruces, a Florida detective catches up with David over the phone. He drops a shocking new revelation, explaining that all the inconsistencies in this case are not what they seem, and in addition to her ongoing struggle with COVID, Gretchen was dealing with something far more sinister.
Oh, the poisoning.
Today.
You spoke with Gretchen today?
She's prepared a statement to give to you.
Okay.
Gretchen is receiving treatment for the COVID virus. Before she contacted the virus, she uncovered illegal federal tax fraud. She's in communication with OSHA and the Office of Special Counsel as she prepares a whistleblower case. Gretchen's terrified for her life. Someone was sent to her house to hurt her the other weekend.
According to David, Gretchen has never actually been missing. Instead, she's been in hiding.
What?
And she's not convinced that everyone in her life is safe. With David still on foot in New Mexico, authorities hope he hasn't gotten far. After 3 days, they catch a lucky break. He's spotted outside a local gas station in Las Cruces. This time, the circumstances surrounding his questioning are very different. The same Florida detective David spoke with on the phone arrives in New Mexico to speak with him directly and to deliver shocking news.
You are under arrest. There's a warrant for your arrest, and I'm going to explain that when we get back to the, excuse me, homicide.
For whom?
Who do you think?
Once in custody, authorities explain the situation. But David doesn't stray from what he told the detective over the phone.
His first one is for who?
Enough evidence to obtain a warrant for your arrest for murder. Okay. I want you to understand that. She's a body. I want you to understand that. And what's most important to us right now is to find out where she is.
Yeah, I'd like to be able to tell you where she is.
Okay.
But I don't have that information. You have to ask her.
Detectives don't want to reveal all their cards just yet, but they're about to share a disturbing story that they stumbled upon by pure chance.
And we gathered a lot of information that I'm sure you're not aware of. There was a neighbor that heard the entire incident on Saturday morning at 6:30 who lives across the way. I want you to think about that real quick.
What incident?
The incident that occurred at Gretchen's home.
You have to give me more information.
In a stroke of luck, police uncovered a shocking piece of evidence as they canvassed Gretchen's neighborhood. A woman approached them, unprompted, with a chilling recollection.
Because on Saturday morning, I guess it was Saturday because of the pictures, but I heard, I was asleep upstairs in my room, and I heard a really serious woman scream, like just screaming, like she was being attacked. And then I heard her scream, "No!" And then I heard something about "it hurts, stop it."
As the witness walks the officer around the back alley to point out where these screams came from, she adds one more chilling detail.
The screaming it went on for a few minutes.
Okay.
It wasn't like, that's why I thought maybe it was kids, but there wasn't nobody was yelling help. Like, nobody was yelling help, which is why I didn't call the police.
And as police would later learn, this split-second decision may have changed everything. Back with David, investigators begin attempting to unravel the disturbing story.
There's a neighbor who observed her driveway covered in a bleach or cleaning product, drenched, coming out of the driveway, coming down the driveway and out of the garage.
What does that have to do with me?
You don't know anything about that?
So I'm asking you.
Okay.
According to a recorded tip called in by another neighbor, all of these strange pieces of evidence may be adding up to an alarming truth. On the call,
It's not hindsight, Harry. It's being a good neighbor. These screams and what's happening is severe enough to call the cops 100%. Okay? It's some bystander effect that kicks in. Okay? Imagine a world around where lady either calls or like knocks at the door and then he gets out. You think that some killer about to do a kill, right? Clearly that he's prepared for whatever, right? Hears a knock on the door and he continues with it? No, 0%.
all the man
It would have saved their life, literally. It's a big difference.
explains to an officer that his security camera picked up something strange in the neighborhood around 5:45 a.m. last Saturday, the day that Gretchen supposedly went missing.
I know I
told like look for a black pickup truck. And there was one that kind of came by and like early in the morning. Looked like it was trying to hitch up to the boat trailer, but then it just took off.
And this wasn't the only sighting of a black pickup in Gretchen's neighborhood on the morning she seemed to vanish. The woman who heard screaming noises near Gretchen's home also noticed a pickup truck parked outside her house, and she took photos. The truck appeared to be David's, which meant that he may actually be one of the last people to see Gretchen before her disappearance. While this doesn't prove anything, it certainly raises red flags. But when the detectives confront David with this possibility, he drops hints that something far more sinister is at play.
I saw your truck.
Were you at Gretchen's residence last Saturday? At 6:30 in the morning. She told me they stole my vehicle, so I did. I'm asking you to be truthful with us.
Instead, David leaves detectives with a strange comment to untangle.
This is like dealing with deep pockets here. There's a lot more to this than just, deep pockets. I love and care for her.
Okay. No.
And part of that's got me in this position now, but
I'm gonna pre-fire and say I think this is a misanalysis. I think what he means by that he has this whole plan and this whole story fake bullshit of like fraud or whatever. And what he means by that is that there's a big ongoing thing or whatever. That's like his bullshit. But I'll see. I think
she's my wife.
At this very moment, police aren't buying David's story. They know much more than they're letting on, and in due time, they'll reveal it to David. They're hopeful that when they finally reveal the shocking evidence they've been collecting behind the scenes, evidence straight from Gretchen's mouth, that the truth will finally come out. For now, David's story takes a drastic turn.
She likes drugs. At one point, she mentioned she's like seen 22 guys. She's got notes. You have the safe in the car, right? You got that? You got that, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So, and if you have her phone and unlock her phone, you'll see,
Well, why do you have her phone?
Before authorities tracked David down, they tried to find Gretchen's phone, and as long as it stayed on, their efforts worked. On a recorded call, the police discussed their findings, and it doesn't take long before the reality of this situation begins to sink in. Nothing they've been told so far can be taken as fact.
I pinged her phone, and it's showing in Gulf Breeze, Florida, as of 12:15 p.m. today, and that's probably when she shut off her phone.
Where?
Gulf Breeze, Florida. It's by Pensacola.
Really?
Instead of turning up at a local hospital where Gretchen was allegedly seeking help, her phone pinged at a location over 8 hours away. In the interrogation room, David stumbles to provide an explanation.
I have her phone. She had her phone.
Mm-hmm.
So she was traveling with me.
Okay.
Up until El Paso. We were driving separate vehicles, so she bolted.
What car was she driving?
I'm not, like I said, I'm going to protect her and her whereabouts because everyone can be bought. And as much as I know you
I knew it. Yeah, like I said.
I don't know. I've seen the other end.
Like I said,
of,
his fraud story.
Manipulation of information.
Yeah.
To skew and or to try to shape an objective. And so.
Yet when Gretchen's family went to the local hospital looking for her, they noticed something that made the cell phone evidence of her whereabouts even more unusual. Her car was parked outside the hospital, and her purse was still inside it. Detectives also discovered footage of David attempting to pawn what appeared to be Gretchen's jewelry at a shop in Pensacola, Florida.
So going back to Saturday morning, were you at her home Saturday morning?
You said you saw my vehicle there, so.
What?
Well, I'm asking you.
I understand what you're asking, but you like I said, shaping a narrative. So.
Okay.
So what happened after you got to her house?
You saw my vehicle there, so. It's between me and her. You know, I'm husband and wife, so I can enact that right.
Even if David isn't talking, others are. While he uses his marriage as a strange excuse to shut down, authorities are flooded with tips on a dedicated hotline. As they sort through information, however, any evidence of Gretchen's alleged whistleblower case just isn't surfacing. If there was anyone who meant to do her harm, they were hiding it well. That is, until police receive a tip that stopped them in their tracks. While people close to Gretchen begin to suspect that David might somehow be involved in her disappearance, a conversation with Gretchen's ex-husband offers something much more valuable than rumors. Gretchen's own words. And they had nothing to do with a high-profile court case. Thankfully, this wouldn't be the last time that, against all odds, Gretchen was able to speak for herself. Just days before she mysteriously disappeared, Gretchen sent a text to her ex regarding their daughter. In a call, Jeff reads it to police.
March 19th at 8:44 a.m. Please do not take calls or allow David to see. He's in a state of mania. He just got out of jail, and I'm afraid he might try to see her before he leaves for Costa Rica. He is bipolar and in a state of mania. He doesn't know what he's doing. Not that that's an excuse, but it scares me because I don't know what he is capable of.
While David was known to his family to be bipolar, they also insisted he didn't have a violent bone in his body. But according to Gretchen's close friend, David's behavior shifted over the past few years after a terrifying accident.
David was underneath the car working on the car. He had it lifted up. The car fell off the lift and on his head. The ambulance had to come, and he was in the hospital for a long time. It was a very serious head injury. Gretchen, and then even Gretchen's sister, said to me that David was never the same after that mentally.
If David suffered from traumatic brain injury during this alleged accident, that could potentially explain recent changes in behavior.
Do you have to tell me I'm being recorded or no? Excuse me? You have to tell me I'm being recorded? No, you're at police department. There's really no expectation of privacy. Rules have changed, huh? What's that? Rules have changed. It's always been like that. Towards y'all. No, you're in a police department. There's really no expectation.
I could see how you could even become
Authorities
like a resenter for
David's
being healthy.
past, which included 2 recent incidents with police. David explains that the first incident occurred when he was detained after having what he called a spiritual experience during a wellness seminar in a local shopping mall.
Because she's leaving
When
him and
staff asked him to leave for disrupting the event, things took a turn.
And then I leave and I go sit on the sidewalk outside. And mall security comes, and then Broward County Sheriff had they got a whole unit wherever that is. And so they show up and they said that I was claiming I was going to kill myself and just making up things.
According to David, a simple misinterpretation by police led to a Baker Act detention, which is a temporary mental health hold in the state of Florida.
And then 3 weeks after that, I'm at Palm Beach Shores, and I get detained. And this is 3 weeks after the Broward County thing. So when I get detained, I just go straight to the ground.
Yeah.
David explains that after realizing his dog was still in the vehicle with no air conditioner, he stood up to roll down the windows, and before he knew it, police descended on him.
Did we deal with you previously sleeping in this vehicle out at the 7-Eleven?
I have my medical records. I'll give you my...
I'm asking you a question, sir. I'm not asking for your medical records.
No.
Because your dog looks familiar.
No, I just got them 6 weeks ago.
What were you trying to grab out of that car?
When I had to body slam myself into the car to get you out.
I was just scared.
No, you weren't.
I was.
I literally had to body slam myself into your car to drag you out. Nice?
Yes. He loves humans. He loves females. His name's Kobe. Okay.
What's in the black bag?
It is a manipulator retard.
I need a counsel. I need legal counsel.
You don't want to talk?
All right.
No problem.
Well, your dog's in the car with it not on and the windows
Well,
open.
it was on, but I was scared you guys were going to get, that I was going to run, so then I turned on, but he was hot, so I turned it back on.
That him, I got my
back in the truck.
Glasses are in my car, because
what's the name?
When you were on the ground and I went to cuff you, you thought because I was 5'2", you could jump up and get in the car. Little did you know, I pulled you back
Mr.
out.
Owner of this car was.
I got your out of the car because you thought you were being slick.
I wasn't in the car. I was on the ground.
Right, officer? This officer was...
Hey, my man, you just exercise your rights to be quiet, right?
All right.
That's smart, man. Keep doing that.
All right.
And then the police report is like, I was like trying to solicit some 15-year-old girls, and I was nervous and sweaty, and
David makes an accusation about those very same police officers.
then they were talking about how they would use Photoshop to make their bruises on their pictures look worse.
But body camera footage from the incident suggests there may have been more at play. During that incident, when the responding officer approached David earlier that night, he noticed tape altering his license plate, which David claimed was from his stepdaughter playing around.
Kids, what are you gonna do? You okay?
Not really. No, don't take anything out of your car. Don't take anything out of your car, sir. 7094.
Turn it off. Turn it off. That's all I was doing, turn it off.
Sit down right there. Do not move. When I tell you not to get something out of your car, you don't get anything out.
Dude, there's almost something, I feel like you can tell when somebody's almost, like the non-verbal almost, right? Like this guy, you know when he's messing with the fucking thing at the back or whatever? Look at what he says.
Stepdaughter playing around.
Like, well, you can tell this guy's guilty off the rip.
Kids, what are you gonna do? You okay?
Because he needs like that validation. He needs that feedback that his life went through. That's why he wants to be like comforted that
Not
it works.
really. Sir.
Hey, Brown, turn it off.
This guy's odd.
Sit down right there. Do not move.
This guy's weird as fuck.
As the first officer waited for backup to arrive, David continued to ignore his instructions, eventually leading to an arrest after the lady officer, quote, had to body slam herself in his car.
Detain him.
Get up!
Can I get up?
No, get down!
I'm standing up.
Get
My leg.
Turn around.
Get up! Now! Get out!
Get him. I got him at gunpoint.
Get out of the car!
All right. All right.
Drop it! Drop it! Whatever it is, drop it! Drop it!
All right.
I was worried about a gun. He kept going in the car. I almost shot him.
I mean, yeah.
I'll do everything you say.
I almost shot him.
I'll do whatever you say.
According to court records, this charge was later reduced to resisting arrest without violence.
What is wrong with this guy?
Detectives looked to David's family to fill in the gaps, and when they show up on his mother's doorstep, she admits
he would have been fine shooting him.
Lately.
As God is my witness, he's never hurt anybody or beat anybody. He's only been maybe,
Yo, brother.
destructive.
But it's not any shit then, brother. It's like staying alive 101. Like I wish people understood that like non-cop Andes, or I mean of course everybody pretty much that ends in cop. Just people that don't understand like basic shit, brother. If you're given instructions at gunpoint, okay, to put your hands behind your back, simple instructions, and you go into your car and you get objects out, what the fuck do you think that the police is thinking? Because they have to think about their own safety as well. You don't want to get fucking shot at, okay? You're going to, it's not that hard to not get shot at. Like, it's not that difficult. Like, just comply, and if you get followed by police, you bring it to court. That's just what it is. Like, it sucks, but if you get rolled by cops, mistreatment, or whatever, you go to court. But just comply. It's not that hard.
Maybe with throwing something, or not at you, but just like beating on something.
So ask for the divorce.
I think she finally did, because she stuck it out as long as she could, and she was trying to help him.
According to friends and family, Gretchen was the primary breadwinner in the relationship, and she supported David through his mental health issues and lapses in employment. During a phone call with police, one friend explains the dynamic.
That he was always on her for money.
Dude, she makes money. She maintains the household. She fucking has to carry the whole. And he doesn't get complaints that he's not getting cooked for, bro.
But eventually, enough was enough. And it seems that David had come up with a plan recently that Gretchen wasn't quite on board with. Gretchen's friend explains the plan.
And then he was obsessed with Costa Rica. And he wanted the money from Gretchen to go to Costa Rica, wanted to leave like now, and she wouldn't give it to him.
But once authorities saw what was on the video footage at Gretchen's home, it confirmed all fears that something truly terrible had happened. But this wouldn't be the last time that police uncovered horrifying secrets in Gretchen's home. As it turns out, Gretchen had several Blink security cameras installed, and what they reveal makes authorities' blood run cold.
Gretchen's home has cameras throughout it. Were you
Inside?
aware of that? You took this the first one knowledge. The first time? First time.
Because they're in your car.
What are?
Her cameras.
And they're mine. Okay. They're yours because they came from Gretchen's house, or they're yours because you bought them somewhere else? They're mine. They're yours.
It seems like every single website these days has ads. Pi.org is a free ad blocker that not only blocks your ads, but also rewards you if you do happen to see ads. It works the same as any browser extension, and you can install it in seconds. See? Seconds. Once installed, just make sure the green icon is checked and you can enjoy all of your internet activity ad-free. If you do choose to view ads, Pi will help you rack up rewards that you can use at over 10,000 stores. On top of that, Pi.org will help you automatically save money by applying coupons at checkout. Go to Pi.org and add Pi to Chrome, or download their mobile app today to start saving time and money.
Not everybody cares about quality. Some people just want crap. If that's you, Bespoke Post is not for you. Every month, they fill your cart with suggestions from small brands based on your interests. This month, I was recommended the Toolkit by Hodo, this Cleaver by Miesermeister, these Whiskey Stones by Visky, and this Brass Railroad Lantern by Barebones. And I get to choose what I want to keep and what I want to swap out. Lantern, don't necessarily need it. Whiskey Stones, Cleaver, obviously I'm keeping those. But there is an upgraded toolkit that comes with a brushless drill. So I swap it out, I get what I want.
What? The footage you're about to see shows what happened at Gretchen's home on Saturday, March 21st, the last day Gretchen's family saw her. First, cameras show David outside on Gretchen's enclosed back patio. As he sneaks around in the pre-dawn darkness, it appears that someone inside may have noticed him when a light turns on. Police also received one more video, and soon the detectives will confront David with exactly what they saw. But this was only the beginning of what they discovered.
So you're familiar with how Blink works? Okay.
So Blink is a web-based system, right? Okay. So you can destroy the cameras all you want. And there's still data and stored cloud storage from Blink. You understand that? That's what you're telling me, so yeah. Does that look like you? Could be. Okay, well, I'm going to explain to you right now. I'm going to tell you something right now, which is real life. So you were also there. There were cameras in the porch area of her home, which I told you captured not a pleasant interaction between you and Gretchen.
At 6:13 a.m., Gretchen is seen on the footage. The police report states there's muffled yelling heard as the victim appears to be moved toward the garage door. At approximately 06:14 hours, you hear, "What are you doing?"
I want you to think about that really, really hard right now. Okay? I know you think...
Dude, man, chat, I'm trying really, listen, I always try really hard to choose my words when it's like victims, I don't want to victim blame, whatever. But dude, guys just looking all black with a fucking black beanie. Man, dude, you fucking run.
Door. At approximately 06:14 hours, you hear, "What are you doing?"
It's again like a fucking
really, really hard right now.
Killer 101 or some shit, or like Robber 101.
I know you think that those cameras that were in her home were gone and broken and taken down, but they were not. I'm telling you that right now. They were stored in the cloud, and I'm not David. I wouldn't come in here and tell you lies.
Bro got the default crime fit. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay. I wouldn't do that. And
it's hindsight, but dude.
I mean, you said you're
a black beanie.
And then you said in
Florida.
And then you said you had that friend, and then my vehicle was ready for release. So you have lied before. So I mean, there's a pattern. Okay.
As the detective breaks down photographic proof, David seems nervous, desperate for any leg to stand on. He claims that authorities' attempts to apprehend him in New Mexico involve stretching the truth about the status of his pickup truck, and he therefore has no way of trusting a word the detectives say. More footage uncovered from Gretchen's house shows David pacing the garage next to her Mini Cooper. In the video, David loads Gretchen's car while wearing green gloves, similar to those found in his truck. Then he grabs what appears to be a red-stained rag. This footage also shows the moment that David realized he was being recorded and took down the video cameras. The car David is seen packing up is the very same one that was found outside of a Jupiter hospital. But once authorities pull video surveillance of the parking lot, they see that Gretchen wasn't the one to drive it there at all. Instead, it was planted by none other than David.
That is you in her with your vehicle. So you're saying? Yep. Exactly. That is you cleaning up her garage after there is a incident there. So you say. So I say.
David isn't budging on his story, but it won't be long before the detectives find a new way to press David's patience. In the meantime, authorities have yet to reveal the most damning evidence.
Here is a small photo of Gretchen
but
with your face up.
He broke the cameras but didn't dispose of them? Like...
And that was the moment that I realized the power of fresh food. I couldn't figure it out. I was trying everything, but then looked like she had a stomachache again the next day. And the day after that, a veterinarian recommended that I tried home cooking for her. And when I did, I just made the exact ingredients that were on the front of the bag, but I bought fresh ingredients, I cooked it myself, and when I fed it to her, the proof was there. She was just a different dog. It was unbelievable. And that set me on this journey of what is dog food? Good, real food is simple. It looks like food, it smells like food. It's what dogs are supposed to be eating. Eventually, when I came to the harsh realization that there just wasn't a brand out there for me to feed Jada, decided to build one.
He saw it was recorded, and I don't understand it. This guy might just be actually brain dead.
It doesn't look like Gretchen. Gretchen's alive. I told you that already.
Because I don't know the cloud, but let's say you're this guy, and you see the camera. Wouldn't you think like, okay, well, destroying them is irrelevant. Let's say it's on the thing. It's onboard memory somehow, right? Well, you would dispose of them. They still have them. They have the cameras. Like, his plan doesn't work for cloud, for onboard, for nothing. His plan doesn't work in any realm, in any world.
David, we really don't need you to tell us what happened, because we already know what happened.
It doesn't matter to us. We have that. We have what happened. And what we need to do is find her. What are we doing?
I'm telling you. We know what happened because the video tells us what happened, right? But
so let's get past that. Tell us what happened. So what happened?
You killed her.
I told you what happened.
Brain problem.
There are no signs of life of Gretchen. She wants it that way. Now,
she would never leave her daughter.
Never. But when you're facing what she's facing, as far as what she uncovered, you might change your tune.
David, we know she's dead.
Only time would tell when it came to what actually happened to Gretchen. And soon, more evidence found in her home would make things clear. In the meantime, when detectives spoke with a friend of Gretchen's, they learned that David had a strong bond with Gretchen's daughter, Ava.
We all know she's dead.
and you know she's dead.
We're just trying to help Ava out.
Then what are we doing here?
Exactly what we asked. What the thing that I asked you when we first sat down here is to find the location.
If you have all the information that you need, then I don't know what else.
Ava would like for you to tell her where her mother's buried.
Don't use Ava in there.
We are. You see that little girl right there? I want you to look at her.
I love her.
Look at her. I know you do. You know, look at her real good.
I was the one who taught her how to ride a bicycle.
That,
and she knew who. And use her awareness.
Awesome. Yep, and that's awesome.
Then do what's right for her.
I've never heard her.
Not Ava.
I've never heard either one.
Well, you're hurting her indirectly by not letting us know where her mom is. Ava's a nervous wreck right now. She can't sleep. She can't eat.
Do not use Ava.
You know, we are.
Okay.
Because that's what's left.
Do you know how screwed up this little girl is going to be growing up, not knowing or having any closure about what happened with her mom?
You have no idea.
As David continues to argue his innocence, police are hard at work collecting more evidence. While they're able to spot David's vehicle on Florida toll cameras, referred to as the SunPass system, they aren't surprised to find Gretchen's Mini Cooper absent.
Well, she's still alive, so she doesn't have to worry about it.
What makes you think she's still alive? She's not on the SunPass video when she followed you. You have her phone. You sent the text messages. You planted her car at Jupiter Medical Center because you're on video doing it.
She has all that information.
She had me do it.
No. No way.
She's screaming for her life on that.
Screaming bloody murder, as the neighbor described it. You can hear it in the video.
When you put your hand,
Why did you call the police?
Because she didn't, and that woman has to live with that. You know that? That's unfortunate, and I feel bad for that woman, because that woman has to know. That woman has to know.
You put your hand over her mouth and dragged her into the garage.
It's on video, David.
You might want to think back, David, because you don't want to face the facts of what you did.
I was trying to warn her.
Okay, you put your hand
trying to warn her.
over her mouth.
I was trying to warn her.
As you dragged her into the garage.
Man, this
then
schizo
you
guy.
reached down the driveway, but unfortunately for you, the cadaver dog hit on the garage, and we found blood spatter. So there's no way that she's alive. You murdered her in that garage, and Ava would like to know where you put her mom. David.
I'm gonna protect her, so.
Well, you can protect her all you want, but she's dead, and you're
dead,
and you're being arrested for her murder. And Ava will never forgive you.
And she will never. She might not ever find out where her mother is.
The last possible thing that you can do for that little girl is give her closure.
Yeah, she's still alive.
No, she is not.
Oh, this guy, man.
You were on video grabbing her and dragging her into the garage of that home. There's video of her lifeless body laying on the ground and you in the background cleaning up.
Among the photos police share with David is a heartbreaking snapshot of Gretchen's hair stained red with blood. But when police confront David, he offers yet another excuse. This time, authorities aren't having it.
Well, as soon as Gretchen finishes her whistleblower case.
Gretchen's not going to finish anything. Gretchen is dead.
Dude,
she's safe.
Dude, you know that this guy is so into his life, I think he's like baller with it. And when she laughed, he had to stop because his ego took a massive hit. You know that hurt him in his soul, brother.
What part of we have the whole Blink video are you not understanding?
There was video still there, David. It's there. I just want you to understand that. It is there.
Okay.
What are you afraid of?
Chat, type Blink.
Your life can't get any worse right now, right? So why are you hanging on to the story that she's still alive when we've shown you dead pictures of her body?
I haven't seen any pictures of her.
I showed you a picture of a dead woman's hairs. That's what, David, that's what it is. I'm telling you that right now. That's what it is.
I didn't see it.
Well, that's what it is. I'm telling you.
Okay.
We all know she's dead. We all know she's dead.
I don't know she's dead.
Well, we're telling you she's dead. You killed her.
You killed her then. You don't have video of me killing her.
How do you know what we have?
Show it to me.
I just told you.
Show it to me.
You just dragged
Show me
her.
the video.
Show
me the video.
Her dead body.
Show me the video.
I showed you the pictures.
Okay. Picture doesn't tell anything.
Well, I'm telling you it exists.
Do Do you know what a cadaver dog is?
Tell me.
Detects deceased people, decom.
Human remains.
Right. That dog hid in the garage, walked around that garage, laid it down in a spot, saying that he found something. And what we found...
And animals could be wrong, right?
Her DNA is wrong? That's her blood?
Soon, David shuts down, but his behavior will eventually take a turn.
I have the right to not say anything regarding her.
The wife that you guys are getting divorced and that you've been separated.
But we're not.
That's not what I said. I said getting divorced.
But we're not. So
And you
I
were
still have
separated.
rights as a husband and wife.
And you were
I still have
separated.
rights as a husband and wife.
And you killed her.
And I've given you as much information as I have. I've been cooperative up to this point, and now you're trying to frame murder on me. So
No, we're not framing. You're getting
we're
charged.
telling you. You are.
You're charged.
We're telling you. Fine.
No framing.
Okay.
There's no framing.
All right.
There's no COVID-19. There's nothing like
no
that.
COVID-19?
No, there isn't, because she never went to the hospital. There's no record of her being at the hospital. That was all crap.
So you don't think she's alternate treatment somewhere else?
No.
But in the
She doesn't trust the regular. She doesn't trust the regular hospital system.
In the CDC
she's an
receiving
alternate
facility in Belgrade.
Essential oils.
In the Belgrade receiving facility where you told all of her parents she was?
That's the information she gave me.
No.
So back to enacting my rights as husband and wife. So
essential oils.
What else? What else?
This whole fictitious story about the COVID-19, there's no record of her being at any hospital for COVID-19.
Okay.
Zero record.
Doesn't mean anything.
It sure does.
That still doesn't get away from the fact that we have the police video of you putting your hand.
You said it.
You
said it over. You said it. You said it.
And
You said it.
she's
You
dead.
said it. You said it. But she's alive.
You know what? I'm just gonna go call Eva and tell her that you're not cooperating. We'll see how she feels about that.
All right.
When one detective leaves the room, the other hopes the reality of the situation will sink in, even going so far as to give David a potential out.
Something terrible happened Saturday morning. A terrible event happens. Something, listen to what I'm saying.
So you're saying,
okay, something terrible happened Saturday morning. Something that you probably didn't want to happen. Maybe not. I don't know. But something terrible happened.
Classic
And it
strategy.
stinks. And it stinks.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here. Big Wireless has once again raised their prices. In response, we're bringing back our deflation promotion. The marketing department asked me to be as explicit as possible when explaining it, so here we go. Because we don't love f***ing our customers over like Big Wireless, we're bringing back our f***ing offer for f***ing unlimited premium wireless for only $15 a month. F*** me to the moon and back. That's a great f***ing deal. Explicit enough marketing?
Next he's gonna say, I mean, it was self-defense, it was whatever, dude. Like, maybe she hit you,
After
so like,
officers
that's what it
step away
is. So you give
briefly,
more details.
they move David's handcuffs to the front. When they return, they have a surprise up their sleeve.
Tim, you want water? Sure. You know water right there for you. It's right next to you in the left.
David, I'm gonna play something for you.
I need you to listen to it. I would like you to listen to it.
David, it's Ava. I love you. I'm scared. I miss my mom. I need to know where my mom is. So you should the right thing and tell me where my mom is.
It is.
Please, I love you.
It is. Wait, no. She doesn't have to see you as a monster. She will never see her mother again. Do her one last thing. Do ever one last thing. Let us know where her mother is.
It's not weird. I think it's weird.
You know in your heart that that was Ava on that recording.
The history of belonging to her.
Imagine.
Okay, David.
Well, imagine thinking it's weird. Imagine thinking it's weird to assume that the daughter wants to see her mom. Like, okay, You're gonna ask her to say it on camera? Like she wouldn't say that. Like she's being forced against her will to say, "Hey, I want to see my mama." Like what? You're dumb as fuck. You're so weird. You're weird for thinking that.
Garage, in the areas that were cleaned up. There is no way that she would be alive. There was no way that she would make it to Pensacola. Forget about Texas. It doesn't matter. I know that story is bullshit.
Maybe what you found wasn't her blood. Ever thought about that one?
Okay, well you can keep talking your way around it.
I'm just, there's unlimited possibilities here, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, you're trying to fit a square hole in a round peg.
I'm not. I'm telling you facts. You think this whole thing's a joke?
Nope, it's serious.
No, it's very serious.
Wait.
Now you can talk like that.
They said it backwards.
Right now.
Okay. And you're not gonna paint a picture of me looking great anyway. So what is?
That works.
Bro. Come on.
Is it up?
Come on, bro.
In an attempt to move on into a meaningful conversation, the detective plays to David's sense of morality, and it goes as well as you might expect.
How would you feel if you told me where she was? How do you think your body would feel? How do you think your soul would feel?
That question can't be answered.
Think about that. You know how it would make you feel? There would be 1,000-pound weight off your back.
On my back?
Off your back.
On my back.
She is dead.
You must have different information.
You're telling me she's somewhere, but you don't want to provide any information. That doesn't look favorable.
What about the challenge interpretation?
Ultimately, David refuses to confess to any involvement in the disappearance or death of Gretchen, at least for now. When police sense they're not getting anywhere, they leave him with one final thought.
I messed up. Remember that recording? Remember that little girl's recording? Remember that little girl's recording? Remember how she feels, Susie? And you take that with you.
Susie.
Take it with you. See how it feels.
Well,
There was one final piece of evidence that made it
I don't say I know better, but I mean, clearly those threats have failed, and they're not even close to working either. It's like it's
Here, David was lying all along,
it's falling on deaf ears,
straight from Gretchen herself. What you're about to hear are Gretchen's last moments, recorded by her Alexa device on the same morning that she disappeared, and moments after she discovered David on her back patio. After his questioning, David Anthony was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and the kidnapping of Gretchen Anthony. As part of a deal, David pled guilty to both charges. Part of David's plea agreement required that he successfully lead authorities to Gretchen's remains, which were buried in a grassy area behind a Walmart store, 3 miles from her home. Strangely, a tip called in from a man living in Jupiter reported strange smells and buzzards.
I remember noticing kind of a horrible, like, hot rotting smell as I was driving home from work.
This tip was about an area less than 3 miles from the site of Gretchen's shallow grave.
What the
Gretchen
hell?
Anthony's cause of death involved multiple stab wounds to her torso and neck. As for David, he was sentenced to 38 years behind bars. Some authorities believe he kept the location of Gretchen's body a secret in a possible attempt to gain leverage in his sentencing.
Oh, no way.
But even as he serves his time, he still refuses to face the devastating consequences he's left in his wake. On a recorded jail call, David left the following message for his brother.
I know there's some bad stuff, but there's a ton of good stuff, man. Seriously, good stuff way far away than anything bad. And I never did anything specifically to you. If I did, I did it because I had to do it, not because I wanted to do it.
What?
On a recorded jail call, David left the following message for his brother.
I know there's some bad stuff, but there's a ton of good stuff, man. Seriously, good stuff way far away than anything bad. And I never did anything specifically to you. If I did, I did it because I had to do it, not because I wanted to do it.
Okay, well, that was disturbing. Yeah, he had to, because obviously the good outweighs the bad low. As he's sitting in a fucking tin can with this fucking bum ass fucking mic. Got him, dude. This is doing well. What is this?
Be honest, baby. It's okay. Because you're going to feel so much better. You're going to feel so much better.
When they pull this GPS, will it show that you were at home in your bed, or will it show that you were somewhere else? That's the question that was asked. You don't know?
That's serious. He's a little killer. I feel it. What am I supposed to do?
Robert, you don't understand that you're just as guilty if you know who did it and you're not saying nothing. That's guilty by association.
Snitching on everybody. If it was going to get too much, why did you make me say it?
I said I don't know.
When the bodies of 3 teenagers were discovered over a period of several days in the same neighborhood in Marion County, Florida, the police didn't know what to think. This would set the tone for the rest of the case, as the emerging suspects all seemed intent on blaming each other. The identity of the alleged perpetrator, along with the motive for the heartless murders, turned out to be more alarming than anyone wanted to believe. The police first learned that something was terribly wrong just before midnight on March 30th, 2023, when they received this 911 call.
There's a girl laying in front of my road and she's dying.
Okay, is she awake?
She's dying. I don't know. She's bleeding out of her head. She's gargling on her blood.
You need to turn her on her side so she doesn't choke, okay?
It doesn't matter what side? On what side?
No, just turn her on her side so she doesn't choke on the blood, okay?
Yeah.
Is she awake?
No.
Okay, is she breathing?
She's breathing. Do you know how far they are?
I don't have any ETA, but they are on the way, okay?
Deputies from the Marion County Sheriff's Department arrived moments before the ambulance. While paramedics rushed to try to save the victim, the deputies tried to get a grasp on the chaotic scene. Within 5 minutes of the ambulance arriving, the victim was on her way to the nearest hospital. The Sheriff's Department was left to pick apart the seemingly inexplicable scene.
He's not responsive? No, not responsive. No, there's no ID, no nothing. Young girl, older younger girl? She was right there and that's been moved. She was right there, right? Yeah. There's blood everywhere. Was not expecting that. No. Well, I thought it was going to be BS, honestly. Yeah, I immediately thought she had got, like, hit by a car. And I seen the big, but I've never seen an exit wound in the head. Yeah. So I wasn't aware. Oh, yeah. She's laying down, it's all pulled out. I mean, it was... And she was still breathing? Rapid breathing. Yeah. But I don't know. Medic said she ain't gonna make it. Yeah, more than likely. I mean, if she did, that's wild.
When police made contact with the 911 caller, they learned that he was just as confused about the situation as the deputies. He only became aware that something was amiss when he got a call from his neighbor across the street.
You didn't hear nothing at all? She told me it sounded like someone crashed into my dumpster and then there was like 2 shots.
The neighbor in question made her way over to talk to the deputies directly. Unfortunately, what she said only served to make the situation even more mysterious.
So, around what time did you hear? You said it sounded like a gun?
Yeah, it wasn't a loud gunshot. I would say about 20, 30 minutes ago. It wasn't a loud gunshot, but I heard about 4 or 5. And I kind of blew it off casually, and then I just looked out my window because I did think it was strange with it, how late it was. And I saw the car run into the dumpster. And once I seen the car run into the dumpster, I stepped out my door. And I seen a man run out of the car down the road towards my yard, and I yelled at him, "What are you doing?" And then I seen him run back towards the car, take a minute, and I was calling him because it was his dumpster, and I seen him skirt off into the neighborhood.
Did you see if anybody was in? Was it only one? Was there
I only seen one person running, and it was a male. It had a male figure, had a hat on. I want to say he was like 5 foot, maybe, but it was only one dude running down the road.
This once again tracked with the evidence, as police found several sets of footprints at the scene.
Did you hear the crash first, or did you hear what sounded like
I heard the gunshots first.
The deputies closed down the main entrances and exits to the Forest Lakes Park neighborhood. hoping to catch the alleged shooter as he attempted to flee.
5 feet, yeah.
Unfortunately, the area was heavily wooded, with plenty of places to hide and lots of back roads.
Pull the heli instantly.
This made for a difficult search for police, and an easy getaway for the alleged perpetrator. Meanwhile, the hospital where the victim was being treated was able to provide some help in that regard. They identified the girl as 16-year-old Layla Silvernail. Her grandparents, who were her legal guardians, were understandably distraught. Detectives first made contact with her grandfather, Kenneth.
Layla was found, she was apparently with a gunshot wound, and she was taken to the hospital. So that's part of the reason why we came here, was to let you know about her status, but we also wanted to know any information that you had about who she was with yesterday, who she hanged out with.
What's she in the hospital for?
She has a gunshot wound.
Huh? She was shot. You're kidding.
No,
Bro.
that's what I told you when.
Bro, are these not gonna, like, just sit down and have some officers, like, kind of explain them what happened in a more calm way? Like,
This is what I've been trying to tell her. You're hanging around with a girl.
Kenneth hurried to the back of the house to get his wife, Lisa.
oh yeah, but I got this paper here. Hold on, let me check. What is that? Says somebody related to you. Yeah, gunshot to the fucking face, one tap. Got it. Bled out to death or whatever. You guys know this person? Like, what the fuck? They want to, like, chill?
Layla's grandmother only seemed to become more distressed when the detectives tried to ask her questions.
Lisa, come here. Lisa, have a seat right here.
Is my granddaughter okay? Will she be okay?
She's gonna be in the hospital. I don't know anything. That's my stuff. I'm the victim advocate, okay? I'm here for you. Have a seat for us. We need some information so we can find out who did this, okay?
I like to know too.
We
will go and I will shoot their asses. So no. Where was she shot at? Does anybody know anything?
She was shot in the head. Listen, that's all we have right now, okay?
The situation was actually more horrifying than Lisa knew. Early on March 31st, the morning after the shooting, the police stumbled upon the last thing they were expecting. Just blocks away from the crime scene where Layla was found, police discovered a second victim, also suffering from a gunshot wound. There was little doubt that the two cases were connected, which made the search for the shooter all the more urgent. Back with Layla's grandparents, the detectives desperately tried to find out who might have been with Layla that night.
And I just found a link
Since
between
they'd
the two, right?
already found two victims, they had to wonder if more of her friends were hurt, or in danger too.
Lisa, look at me. Who was she with yesterday?
She came here with, and I'm gonna tell you everything, because I don't like the people she hangs around with anyway.
Okay, that's what we need. That's what we need.
Lisa said Layla was almost always with her boyfriend, 17-year-old Michael Hodo. She also directed the police to Layla's best friend, who might have more information about her activities the day before the shooting. Another name came up too, and it was one police were already familiar with.
And then that runaway girl, Camille.
Okay.
She was with her too yesterday.
Camille Quarles, 16, had been reported as a runaway by her aunt and legal guardian several weeks prior. It was an open secret that she'd been staying with Layla at her grandparents' house, but no one had successfully brought her home yet. When police made contact with Camille's aunt, Amy, she was not shy about expressing her frustration with the investigation.
I did call it in this morning to ask somebody to go through there, and nobody has called me back. I've called 5 or 6 times a day since she's been gone.
Even worse, Amy's son was hearing all kinds of gossip about the case at school. People were saying Camille had also been shot. The names of the victims and the location of the crime was seemingly common knowledge. Disturbingly, police had not yet confirmed if Camille was involved. Also, they'd not yet released the names of the victims or the location, which meant whoever was spreading this information had to be involved.
And there was another body discovered this morning in that neighborhood.
Okay.
I don't want to know if it's my child.
Okay, the second person is not Camille. I can't identify who that person is, but it's not her.
The identity of the second victim only made the case more dire. especially in regards to Camille's safety. Frustratingly, the police were still in the dark about most of the lead up to the crime, up until they got in touch with Layla's best friend, Gabby. She was more forthcoming and told the detectives that she'd spent the day with Layla and her boyfriend, Michael Hodo, and several other teens who would soon become an integral part of the case.
Was there anybody else in the car other than you, Layla, anytime during the day?
Camille was there.
This was the second statement placing Camille at the scene of the crime, but disturbingly, there was still no sign of her. Prior to the shooting, Camille's aunt said she'd caught sight of her at the park once or twice and kept a close eye on her Instagram feed to see what she was up to. Since the night of the 30th, though, it had been radio silence. Back with the detectives, Layla's friend recounted their travels throughout the day and who else was with the group.
We went to Rob. We went to I don't know if it's abandoned. Do you know what a trap house is?
Yeah.
Okay, so apparently, this kid Rob, I don't know him personally, but they do.
Okay.
They're like friends or whatever, and we went over there and we chilled over there.
Significantly, Gabby said that Layla had been the one driving all day, but the only sign of her vehicle, a white Chevy Cruze, was a tire track left at the crime scene. The police hoped that finding the vehicle would offer some insight into what happened the night Layla was shot.
Do you know his last name or anything else about Rob?
No, I don't really know if Rob is like his real name or not, because I know some people know him as Reaper, Rob, and stuff like that. So
was anyone else there at the
bro?
house besides
Reaper
the
Rob,
three
really?
of you and Rob?
Well, there was this kid 3-5, but I don't know his real name.
What's 3-5 look like?
I don't know. He's 12. He's a little kid.
12-year-old?
Detectives knew they needed to track down Rob and 3-5. They started with Rob, who they believed to be 17-year-old Robert Robinson, who was already incarcerated at a juvenile detention facility for a different offense. When detectives asked him about 3-5, he directed them to a boy named Christopher Atkins. Shockingly, Gabby was right. He was only 12 years old. Since Chris and Rob were both minors, their mothers were asked to join them at the police station before any conversations took place.
Even in Florida?
Chris's mother, Ashley, was the first to arrive.
I don't understand. Where the hell is my son? If he being questioned, why I'm not in there? What's the room? Where's my son?
He's in the corner right here.
Me talking to him?
Not yet, no. They're all getting their stuff together.
It seems she wasn't convinced they weren't already questioning him, because Ashley did her best to hear what was going on in the other room. After almost 2 hours of waiting, she was finally escorted to the next room to join Chris, who was visibly trembling.
Can I put it on? Sure. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Did you want another jacket?
That's okay.
Are you sure? You look like you're cold. Let me get you.
You say you have 4 siblings? Okay. You guys get along okay in the house?
The detectives set about gradually breaking the ice with Chris, all the time appearing hyper-aware that he was only 12 years old. After taking all necessary precautions, like making both Chris and his mother aware of their rights, and establishing...
In that state, whatever, like that, where you're like trembling, whatever, you're like overtaken by like emotions like that. Dude, this guy, there's no shot that they can lie and get away with it. No shot. You're in no capacity to think and actually make up some actual elaborate lie.
On record,
This guy's
Chris
GG.
knew the difference between right and wrong. They finally got to the issue at hand.
So, Chris, what I'd like to start with talking to you about is, and like I said, I just want you to be honest with us. I'd like you to talk to me about last Thursday night.
First, we ate some eat, watched TV, and I went to sleep for a little bit, and I heard something outside. I opened the door. There was nothing outside now. I think I went to sleep.
So I think what you just told me was what you probably had rehearsed in your mind several times to tell a police officer if you ever had to talk about that Thursday night. Because sitting here and talking to you with your mom here crying and knowing that you have these siblings, you're probably in sort of an embarrassing and shameful position. If you are sorry for what happened, repent for it and start from the very beginning and go to the very end without me having to pull it from you. Because somebody that I have to pull each individual action from, that tells me that they don't really want to say what they did wrong, that they don't feel bad for it.
Reaper down there has been super honest. He took him a minute to get comfortable with me, and he's told me everything down to details that only he would know, and
That's involved.
That nobody else would know.
Some of the details, he points the finger at you.
17-year-old Rob, also known by the concerning moniker Reaper,
This guy
was
has
also
such a
being
bad delivery.
questioned.
Okay, that delivery is shit. Dude. I've had probably a dozen fucking like teachers at school or whatever, right? Do a way they delivered than that. That's insane.
Just like Chris,
Come on,
Rob
bro.
and his mom Erica
Really,
were
dude?
both advised of their Miranda rights before the interrogation commenced.
I'm trying to bring the best way to say this to you guys. We're investigating several different incidents that occurred over the last couple of weeks.
Okay.
One being a theft of side-by-side. One being the theft of, a burglary. We're investigating a robbery.
Yo, what is
We're
this cop?
investigating a murder. Okay.
Heard.
So,
Ooh. That
The
face
first
was
one you named is believable. The last one you named
well,
is not.
You don't have the heart to kill them. I know that for a fact.
okay. What'd you do on Thursday all day?
I mean, I was home Monday, like I was home all Thursday.
Okay, who were you with? Did anybody come over? Did we hang out with anybody? Did you go anywhere with anybody?
I ain't go no. Came over like 1 o'clock.
What'd you guys do then?
We just chilling. Really, like we just chilling.
Okay. Was anybody with at the time? How did he get to your house? Things like
He
that?
drove. Supposed to drove to my house. It was him, Landon, Layla, and there was another girl with them. I don't know her name.
Sosa was a nickname that Layla's boyfriend, 17-year-old Michael, used. Michael's father had last seen him about 6:30 last night, around the same time Gabby said she parted ways with the group. Landon was another local boy who police determined didn't know anything that would aid the investigation. As for the unnamed girl, the police likely wondered if she could be the missing Camille and why she hadn't been seen or heard from since.
Did you go anywhere after 6:30, Rob?
Oh, I didn't keep.
Okay. I just
We
want
keep asking because we've been working on our investigation.
What do y'all think happened, bro? I'm telling you,
You understand?
in the house
You understand
that night. Like I only seen Sosa one time that day.
Rob, we know you were out of the house after 6:30. Okay? We know you were with around 7 o'clock p.m.
Thanks to CCTV footage, police believed that Rob, along with others in the friend group, had been involved in the theft of a vehicle and an armed robbery that night.
Jeez, man, these
As
people are up to
serious
no good.
as these crimes were, they paled in comparison to what police believed happened later. Back in the room with Chris, his mother tried to make him understand the severity of the situation.
Well, you need to tell if you ain't.
Now's the time.
Now's the whole story.
Now's the
You know
time
you
to
left
get
out of the house Thursday when I told you not to, and you finna speak. No, you gotta talk right now.
Reaper's already told us what the plan was that night. So there's, I mean, we know what the original plan was. We're asking you now to be honest and to come forth and tell us what happened and why it happened.
He knocked on the window.
When you say he, I never want to guess. Who's he?
Reaper, aka Rob, took a lot of convincing before he opened up.
Rob, right now you're protecting KTM and your buddy. You need to think about protecting yourself.
The disturbing meaning behind KTM will be revealed in due time. For now, the fact that the police knew about the mysterious phrase was enough to get Rob talking, albeit reluctantly.
Was that the house?
When you saw
Killers, thieves, murderers.
who was with y'all?
It was me. 3-5. Layla was there. And that was it.
The police knew by now that there were more people at the house than just Chris, Rob, Michael, and Layla.
Did you go anywhere with them that night?
No, I ain't go nowhere with them. I just told you. I went, I swear to God, was at the house. They said they was finna leave. I went back home. Actually, Mom, I didn't come in until like late. I didn't come in until after 7 anyways.
You don't know what time you came home. Now,
But they said about what night Mulaka at 7:10.
what I'm saying is, you don't know what time you came home because you defy your curfew so much. You don't know what time you came in. It might have been 8 o'clock. It might have been 7:30. It might have, you know what I'm saying? So you don't know. What I'm saying is,
oh no, not the curfew.
Something.
I wonder what the punishment is for violating the curfew. Oh no way, dude. Come on, bro. You gotta put your foot on the ground and have some discipline in that house, man.
That they're trying to get out of you. I don't give a who your friends are, who you trying to protect. I gotta get to work, and I'm sick of dealing with this jail. Could you choose to have friends? I mean, you need to be honest.
Unfortunately for Rob, the police already knew that he was still holding back the dark details of what he got up to that night.
What about a cell phone? Do you own that phone?
Yeah, I own that phone. So, do you all want permission to check the location?
That
on
would be
phone?
great. Yeah.
No.
That would be great.
What do you mean, no?
Oh, they can check my phone. They might find
They're not
something else in there.
They're not looking in your phone for anything else.
So you're certain that your phone GPS will keep you at your house?
Well,
that
that's
night?
not.
Are you? Are you?
They're letting the mom say some dumb shit. Jesus.
So we gon' no.
I can just tell you, I really don't know nothing about no murder. That is the truth. I don't know nothing about no murder, and I was not there with no murder.
That's not what they asked, though. That's not what they asked. What they asked was, when they pull this GPS, will it show that you were at home in your bed, or will it show that you were somewhere else? That's the question that was asked. You don't know?
I don't know what y'all want me to do. Like, I'm telling you stuff.
They want you to tell them mine, and I'm telling them the truth. And you sit there going with them. Why are you believing them? They don't know your son. Stop believing them. Oh, no, I was not there. Like, I didn't say you were not there. You were there. Wait, but first and foremost. You sit there just moving everything you're saying. No, first and foremost, you lied so much, I don't know what to believe what comes out your mouth. You didn't burn the bridge that's been gone. Let's get that understood. Like, I was like, but what I'm saying is, you so quick to want to protect people and let me finish. You so quick to want to protect people, don't want to snitch, want to be cool this and cool that, and not be known as a is in the paperwork and all of this, that you're willing to sit here and go down for murder that I know you didn't do. I know for a fact that you didn't do it. But you're going to be guilty by association because you don't want to tell who the did it. That's the problem.
I did not kill nobody. I did not kill nobody.
Did somebody you know do it?
Like, what the? No, I don't know nothing about no murder. I don't know nothing about no murder.
And if you lying, you standing on this island by yourself. Because if you got something to tell these people, because they have a way to tell if you're lying.
The best way to tell if Rob was lying was Chris, who was still in the room next door. He was sharing a bit more than Rob, and some key differences in their statements stood out already.
What do you think he's going to tell us, Robert?
He's not going to, with me, I swear to God, he's not going to, I didn't do anything. I promise you I didn't do anything. You did?
I don't understand why you keep lying. And then you go back. It's going to be a snitch. And it doesn't matter. Kill me. It don't matter. And it's a snitch and I would die. This is not a joke. You would die. Like, you would die for snitching out here. People die for that. Real talk. A lot of people get blocked and killed for snitching.
But we're talking about life sentences here.
Right. And this is like...
Jesus, they actually brainwashed them.
Yo.
Chad, you might actually believe this. Straight up. I think it's like the street brainwash, literally.
And the people you choose to hang with and other is slowly killing me. I should just fall. Let me talk.
You say he's right, but it's a waiting game, brother. Under the correct circumstances, they would all snitch. I don't know what you're on about. When it's about like some bullshit fucking, oh dude, like this guy stole from the fucking gas station. Sure, right. But they would all send you this position. You're crazy thinking they would not. I don't know what world you live in. That's
right now. I just took a promotion. I can't keep missing work. All the that you are doing, or the people you hang with, or just any of that. Like I don't know if you know or not, but they threatening me with contempt of court because I don't come to none of your court stuff and other that you got going on. I make sure you get there, but I cannot keep missing work. And you sitting here in my face telling me that you don't want to snitch because your wife and they gonna kill you. Pops, you don't know.
It wasn't me. I didn't say nobody. They trying to get me in my shit.
I didn't say that you killed anyone. Robert, you don't understand that you're just as guilty if you know who did it and you're not saying nothing. That's guilty by association. Like, what part of that is not clicking for you? If you know who killed these kids, then you need to tell him.
Some part of this tirade must have made an impression, because at long last, Rob shared his version of events.
Taj killed all three of them.
Okay. Tell me about it.
Were you there?
The whole story?
Were you there?
The whole story.
Let him talk.
Jesus, guy.
Rob just mentioned 3 victims, but the detectives had so far only asked him about 2. Not only did this grab their attention, but they likely suspected that the Taj that Rob mentioned was 16-year-old Taj Bruton, with whom they were already acquainted due to previous cases. Unfortunately, this didn't mean they knew where to find him. Several weeks earlier, Taj cut off his ankle monitor and went on the run. The detectives would focus on this after they got more of the story from Chris, who picked up the story after he said Rob, aka Reaper, knocked on his window.
Okay, Reaper knocks on the window. He knocks on the window. He said, come on, we go see some girls or something. Then we went out. And this girl and the boy, they just, I don't know what. This girl and this boy described.
From Rob's statement, the police believed this had to be Michael and Layla. He made no mention of Camille, however, even when he explained where everyone was sitting in Layla's car. The seating arrangement would be crucial later. Layla was driving. Michael was in the passenger seat, while Chris and Rob were in the back seat. But they weren't alone.
Then somebody came in the car, I don't know his name. It was like somebody in all black.
Okay. And how does this person look? I know you said he's wearing dark colored clothes, right?
Taj guy?
I heard you say that.
Ski mask,
I'm telling you what, if somebody got in the car wearing a ski mask, I'd be like, what is going on?
But that didn't appear to be Chris's response, and the detectives likely had a horrible inkling as to why.
Because they
I
knew.
was there, Rob. I was like, I thought we were going to see some girls. He's like, yeah. I was like, well, all right. And then he kept driving in.
Throughout his interrogation, Chris would only refer to the man in the ski mask as the X-Man. Luckily, Rob had already revealed the identity of their companion.
We went to pick up Taj. As soon as Taj came out of the house, first thing he told me, he like, we knocking on. We knocking on. I was like, nah, but I ain't even trying to do all that.
It took a little more persuading, but Rob eventually told the police that they could find Taj at his girlfriend's house. They picked him up and brought him to the station after they finished talking to Chris and Rob. But instead of clearing up the questions detectives had, Taj made everything more confusing. He said everything was Rob's idea.
I'm sitting right next to him, and he whispered in my ear, like, bro, I'm finna rob these tonight, bro. I look at him like, what you mean you finna rob these tonight? He's like, bro, so saying, Layla, bro, they got a pound of weed, they got me some money, bro, and if they don't go for it, I'm gonna kill them. That's exactly how he said. At this point, I'm frantic, but I can't, like, if I tell Sosa, right, I'm sitting right next to me, so therefore he's gonna shoot me. So I'm sitting here, I'm scared as hell, so I'm like, I ain't got no choice but to just sit here and just, it is what it is.
Rob told detectives that it was the other way around.
It was so random. Like, he just said he wanted to knock him off. I'm not thinking he's serious, though. Like, at the time, when he first said it, if you would have seen his face, like, right, he was laughing. Like, if I would have really thought he was finna kill, like, I wouldn't have got back in that car. I would have stayed right there and called my mom and be like, can you come get me? I didn't think he was serious until when the car started slowing down and I seen him up the gun.
Rob said that Taj did this because he wanted to take Michael's firearm.
Yeah, this doesn't play out good for him because the motive seems to be stronger and more established and more fluid for him than this Taj guy so far. That's what I think.
Rob said that Taj did this because he wanted to take Michael's firearm. Over
His
in
motive
Chris's
isn't strong.
interrogation room, his story aligned with Rob's. For now.
What triggered him to
So far.
start shooting? I'm trying to figure out. Is something in between that you're not saying?
Because I think the person that the white guy, I think he said he had a lot of money or something.
Oh, so it was set up as a robbery. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay. So they were setting up the robbery in.
Did Reaper mention that to you? That something was going to be set up or anything?
He didn't even know. Like, all I heard was pow. Then like, I thought somebody was shooting at us, so I hopped out the car, ran.
I'm looking. Boom! Boom!
Once again, Taj's version was a little different.
Before I shot Sosa, boom, a Layla got shot by Rob because that was diagonal. It was crazy. Just like that, it took 2 shots. It wasn't no more than that. It took 2 shots to kill both of them.
The police knew at least part of this was true. Who shot who was yet to be determined. But tragically, they'd confirmed the second victim as Layla's boyfriend, Michael Hodo. He was in the grass by the side of the road, just blocks away from Layla. He was deceased when police found him. Michael's father had a heartbreaking reaction when he found out that his son would not be coming home.
My son's dead, isn't he? I'm sorry to be the one to tell you.
We have to talk. We have to find this out. Who's to find this? This is to go find out who did this to Sam.
I'll find him when I kill him. Kill
While Michael's family reeled from the devastating news, Chris continued with his upsetting story about Michael's final moments.
And you said he shot this white guy first?
Yeah, the white guy was like sitting like this, and like.
Where'd he shoot him
gun
at?
was like right here.
And the gun was pressed up against his head? Is that what you're?
I think it was like.
Okay. And then, what about the white girl that's driving? Tell me about that.
He turned the gun and shot her.
Where'd he shoot her at?
I don't know.
Rob agreed, which would soon become increasingly rare.
Where did he shoot Layla?
I think it was headshots.
On the other hand, Taj put the blame back on his 2 companions.
I know he shot Sosa in the back of the head. I seen that happen. I seen Rob try to shoot her, right? And when he tried to shoot her, he shot her, and then his gun didn't go off, so he reloaded it again and shot her.
All contradictions temporarily aside, Chris added another disturbing detail.
Did he see it coming?
No, it was like to the back of his head.
Okay. Did have any time to defend himself?
No, but Taj just upped him and shot him in the head.
At this point, police were still searching Forest Lakes Park for evidence. Now that they knew the shooting had occurred in Layla's car, it was more important than ever to find the vehicle. Most of all, though, they were looking for any sign of Camille. They hoped to find her alive, but the police were likely aware that, like Layla, she could be seriously injured and in need of medical attention. If that was the case, every passing moment decreased her chance of survival. For the time being, though, her family was left in an exhausting state of limbo. The situation was made infinitely worse by rumors that Camille had been caught up in the shooting. Frustratingly, the police still had no concrete answers for her family. They had to hope that Chris, Rob, and Taj would ultimately provide an explanation. They got even closer when Chris continued with more of the story, but once again, the details started to get shaky.
Was the car driving whenever they got shot?
No, it was just like it stopped and then like it kept going. Like and I hopped out the car and kept going with it.
Where did the car keep going when it kept going?
Like to a dumpster.
Did you get back in the car?
Yeah, I got back.
I mean, did you want to get back in the car or did you not? No, you didn't want to. Okay, what made you get back in that car? Explain to me that.
Because he had a gun, I thought he was going to get to shoot at me. Because if I was just with him and if I was just with him, he just killed somebody, and he probably wouldn't kill me too because he think I was insane.
On the contrary, Rob said that he was the one who jumped out of the car.
When he shot Layla, I got out the car. outside because the blood started dripping. I ain't wanted to get on me.
Taj claimed the same thing.
I get out of the car. They still shooting because it was like 4 to 6
It's a ghost
shots.
car.
I don't know exactly how many shots it was, but it was a couple shots, bro. So at this point, we hear this lady. This lady's over there like, I'm running. I'm trying to hide in the forest. I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna do. I'm trying to call spring everything. So this lady, hey, what's going on over there? He sees me, or I guess he run back over there. Or I run over there, and he was like, hey, this, that, and the third. So I'm like, I'm just do what you tell me to do. I just want to go home. So
the only thing that this established was that at least one of the boys had gotten out of the car.
That's what I was
But this
gonna say.
wasn't news, as the woman who saw the car hit the dumpster also told police that she saw a male figure running
but it was
around
5
shortly
foot, though.
after she heard gunshots and saw the crash.
So it couldn't be the
The
small one.
detectives decided not to challenge the boys on this front for now, and pushed for the truth on more important matters instead. They started with Rob.
What happened to Layla? Where did they...
I don't know. Taj threw Layla out the car and hopped in the driver's seat and started driving.
Rob said Taj repeated the process a short time later.
Taj pulled body out the car.
Wait, that's Gigi then. Hold on. Detective Mind incoming in.
Taj pulled body out the car, patted him down. The mechanic. He grabbed the mechanic, got back in the driver's seat, and drove off.
Was that next to Layla where she was pulled up?
If there's a one figure, it's 5 foot. It's not the small one. It has to be one of the big ones. It's whether him or the other guy. If he knows all the details of that, right? He either making all that up or was just him.
No, it was in
No.
This made sense to police because the second crime scene, where Michael's body was found, didn't have much blood. There were, however, what appeared to be drag
Oh, the
marks
12-year-old
leading
is
from the
5
road
foot, you
towards
think,
the brush where the body lay.
Did you help take? I ain't touch nobody. I ain't touch a body. I ain't touch nothing. I swear to God, I ain't touch nothing. Once they was dead, I said, take me home, man. Take me home.
Yet Taj said that wasn't how it happened.
Rob drives. He pulled Layla out of the car. That's why she got left by the dumpster. He starts driving. He's driving. We go around the corner. He goes over to the Sosa. Sosa had, I think, in his somewhere on him. So he pulled Sosa out of the car. He just dragged him over in some woods.
And were you driving the car?
No, I was not driving the car.
Yeah. The detectives asked Chris similar questions.
Did you pull her out of the car?
What is Rob doing during all this?
He was saying that.
What's he saying?
He was like, oh. Go.
And what happened next?
And
That's Kappa.
He drove all the way out there on the water. And he tried to put the thing in the river, but I think got stuck or something.
The thing, what thing are you talking about? The car. Okay.
Once again, the detectives already had information that would let them know if one of the boys was lying. The search of Forest Lakes Park had finally paid off, leading police to another grisly and tragic discovery. Taj picked up the story again to tell his version of what they did with Layla's car.
When we get over here to this lake, it's dark as hell. 3-5 get out of the car. He get out of the car, Rob tells him, hey, start wiping everything down. So he started wiping everything down. He's wiping everything down. The door handles everything. He's wiping everything down. So after he started wiping everything down, Rob takes Layla's phone and Sosa's phone or whoever phones he found in that bit, throw him in the lake, wash him, throw him in the lake.
The lake in question turned out to be 5.5 miles or 8.8 kilometers outside Forest Lakes Park, but police had no question that this was the scene they were looking for. When they dredged the lake, they recovered the 2 phones from the water, which were determined to be Michael and Layla's. But this wasn't the only evidence they found. Taj attempted to explain what was found as he continued his story, starring Rob as the mastermind of the crime.
He tells 3-5 get in the car, drive the car into the lake, for whatever reason.
When the detectives asked Chris, though, he said he was nowhere near the car at that point.
Were you in the car when it was going in the river, or?
I was trying to run back to my house.
You were out of the car. What was Rob doing?
I don't know. I left. I was running back to my house.
What did he say he did with the car after that?
I didn't ask all of that. I didn't ask that.
What about the guns that were used?
I don't know where those at either.
Oh, it's barely in the lake. Like when he drives, it might be the 2 front tires in the lake. It might be a little bit more in the hood, but the back of the car, all that is still out of the lake.
That was exactly how the police discovered the car. What they found inside was more gruesome than they had ever anticipated. Back with Chris, he continued his tale.
Describe to me the clothes that you were wearing that night when all these bad things happened. What happened to them?
He wanted us to burn.
Who wanted you to burn them? Did you have blood or something on them?
No.
Are you sure?
I don't think so.
Like Detective Bender said, we processed that car front to back, top to bottom, bottom to top 3 times. 3 days worth of actual forensic work, several forensic people. I don't think you could have sat anywhere in that car and not got blood on you.
I think it was something on my shoe.
I'm standing over here scared as like I think it's blood all over me, but it's dark, so I don't know. But I think it's blood all over me.
Rob said burning the clothes was all Taj. Taj, of course, said it was Rob. Regardless of who had the idea, the police found the remains of clothing in a burnt pile in the forest, including pieces of shoes, sweatpants, and sweatshirts. However, this was not the only clothing item the police discovered intact.
Well, it does, but
Chris's shoes, which he described as Nike slides, were found discarded in the bushes, and a single glove was found near Michael's body. Another was found near the lake. The police asked Taj about this.
So were you wearing gloves at this time?
Yes, I was wearing gloves.
No, I'm just saying it. I'm just saying like these guys are all arguing it over small details when all of them are getting hit with like all the charges. Whether they all did like fucking tampering with evidence, fucking moving a body or a corpse, bro. They're all accomplices or whatever to some degree to all crimes.
Taj revealed that the original plan was for the group to go car hopping that night, which was why he was wearing gloves and a ski mask. But police had to wonder if there was a far darker reason the boys brought these items. For now, the detectives wrapped up the conversation with Rob.
Do you feel a little better now that you were honest? Did you need to get that off your chest?
Worse. Now I feel like I just snitched on everybody and
The detective stepped out, but little did Rob know that his night at the police station was far from over. There was a lot more that he needed to fess up to, but for now, he was left alone with his mother.
I'm gonna charge you because you were there and you didn't come forward. You didn't come forward. I'm talking about when it happened.
I just talked about everything.
I'm just letting you know, Rob. You don't
I'm gonna
understand.
get charged for murder. No,
I don't know.
snitching on everybody. Who's gonna get charged? Why did you make me snitch?
I said I don't know.
This guy might be a little bit under 0 IQ.
Step out now.
Hey, mama. Wait, hey, is my mama still here?
Yeah, she's still.
Wait, mama.
Talk to me.
Okay, can you see if they do charge me? Can you see if she can give me a lawyer? I didn't kill anybody.
Relax.
Can you ask her, please?
Rob waited, asking the detective.
Hell no. Brother, she's the legal guardian. If she's brain, then it's GG, and it's already is GG. Like, it's just what it is.
He stationed at the door several times to bring his mother back, but she had left to go back to work. Before she did, she informed police that she did not want Rob answering any more questions without a lawyer present. Rob was not on board with this plan.
Is my mama still here? Hold on. How can I get charged for murder?
Listen.
Can you explain it to me?
Hold on. We got it. We're taking your DNA, okay?
While the police took Rob's DNA, fingerprints, and photos, he continued to ask them how it was possible that he would be charged with murder.
I wonder.
Listen, can I tell you the situation, please?
Listen. Let them do it. Your mama's not here yet. We can't talk to you.
She's close?
I don't know how far she got, but she is on her way.
Rob's interrogation might have been on pause, but the conversation with Chris remained in full swing. The questions he faced were about to get a whole lot harder.
They executed a search warrant on the house, which they did collect some things, and I'd like to talk to you about those things too.
Mm-hmm.
But because it looked like a surprise on that.
Yeah, like what was in my house that got me with this homicide? And
I will, and I'm going to tell you about that because, like I said, I'm not going to leave anything out.
It's I can tell you it's pretty damning. I guess I would use that word.
so serious?
Do you own any firearms, ma'am? Does anyone in your home own a firearm? Okay, because I'm pretty sure they found 1 or 2 firearms in the house. And I'm sure you guys have watched CSI, right? We can take a firearm, we can shoot it. That round that you shoot, we can take, and we can put it into a computer
and tell you what
and actually compare it to other fired casings, like the shell from the bullet. How?
You tell me who the guns from. Why would you hold the guns from when you know something that dumb just happened? That was stupid.
When Reaper gave you these, you think that they're going to be related to this?
I think so.
Describe to me why you think that.
Because he said, put these up, make sure you want to find them.
And the gun that you saw X-Man use, was it either one of those 2 guns?
I think it was black.
Meanwhile, Rob continued to wait.
Well, I don't understand how this guy was possibly ready to kill for a pound of weed, but they have enough money to buy a firearm. How did they even get this with no money?
Eventually, the detectives did come back to speak with him, since he was insistent on saying more, even though his mother did not return to the station.
All right, so, I explained to you what your mom said on the phone, right? She didn't want us to ask you any more questions about a lawyer presence from you. You reapproached me a couple times. You said that you wanted to discuss stuff further, right? I just want to make sure that we're clear that you don't have to answer a question, you don't have to talk to us at this point, but you've stated to me that it's my case, I want to talk to you.
Because Rob's mom was no longer present, they read him his Miranda rights again. Right off the bat, he admitted to additional involvement.
Oh man, this guy.
Taj told me to help him pull the body out of the trunk.
Okay, GG.
He grabs it, he's trying to pull a leg, he was like, bro, it's heavy, I need help. So I grabbed one leg and I tried to help. I was like, bro, it's too heavy, I don't want to do this. Put the thing down, left the girl in the trunk. Because I told him I didn't want to help him. Like,
Rob went on to tell a long, rambling tale about selling his gun the day before the crimes took place. The detectives hear him out before dropping a bombshell.
And that's an issue because we have that gun now.
That's not.
It was at 3-5's house. You said you sold it.
I did. That's not my gun. That one's not mine. That's not my gun.
In addition to this, the police strongly suspected Rob had stolen the firearm.
You lied telling the truth that you didn't pull a trigger, but you knew this was going to happen. You knew it was going to happen.
I did not know this.
The detectives had a similar exchange with Taj.
We've sent some of the casings off to be examined already. It's not back, I'll tell you that. Otherwise, we would probably be having this conversation. That those casings aren't going to come back, like he said, to a 3rd gun.
To a 3rd gun, they shouldn't.
Multiple casings were found at all 3 crime scenes, but especially near the car at the lake. Even if the boys weren't budging on the issue of who shot who, lab tests would reveal the truth in due time. In the meantime, the detectives brought up something 2 of the boys in particular were probably dreading.
Let's talk about the trunk of that car.
Looking at the trunk.
There's another part that we haven't talked about.
Trunk? It was a girl in the trunk. And he told me to open the trunk. And he shot her.
Where did he tell you to open the trunk from?
He told me to open the trunk from the inside, like the inside.
Okay.
And whenever you pulled that open, tell me about what you saw in there.
All I seen was luggage, and then he said move, and he shot.
Okay. You said all you saw was luggage?
Luggage and it was like a girl.
And what part of her body could you see? Could you see her feet, or her hair, her hand? Describe me.
I seen hair. I did not even know it was another person in the trunk at all.
Okay. So you just riding around, she just in there?
Yeah. I mean, we rode around like that before, though.
Just because there ain't no room for all the people?
Just because there ain't no room for all the people.
When you go to open up that seat, what were you thinking in your head?
Like, what am I going to do? I don't know.
I was confused.
The
I
fuck?
was like, I was thinking like this person.
Did this person say something? Describe to me what you heard. What you heard whenever you opened that seat up. What noises?
All I heard was somebody telling me to watch out, and I heard gunshot.
I think it's plausible.
Tragically, the third victim was determined to be none other than Camille. Her body was discovered 2 days after Layla was found on April 1st. Like Chris said, she'd been shot twice. The location of her wounds indicated that her death had been no accident. It was highly unlikely that Camille had been shot once in the back and once in the head by chance. As soon as she was identified, it was highly unlikely that Camille had been shot once in the back and once in the head by chance. As soon as she was identified, law enforcement made contact with her aunt, Amy, for a difficult conversation.
So you probably know why we're here, where we've been investigating the incident that happened Friday involving Layla and the other individual that was found deceased.
You know, it took us a little while because we couldn't positively identify her, so it took us a little while. But, you know, we're certain that it's Camille that is now deceased.
Probably to detective surprise, Amy remained stoic. As it turned out, she already knew Camille was deceased.
The grandpa of Layla actually came to my house when I found your card, telling me that Camille was deceased, and how are you doing is what he told me. They were talking about it at the hospital that Camille was deceased already. I had a mother call me at midnight last night that, my phone has not stopped.
While Amy tried to come to terms with the loss of her niece, the detectives at the police station asked Chris more about the specifics of Camille's murder.
What happened after he shot her?
He closed it, and we left.
How many times did he shoot her?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna.
I think once, twice.
What is it? Twice. Twice? Okay. Do you know what part of her body he shot her?
No, when I opened it, he go empty, so I looked away.
As if this wasn't horrific enough, Taj put forth an even more disturbing version of events. Predictably, he insisted he was not the shooter. The culprit he named was spine-chilling.
Who folds the seat down? 3-5, because he was on the side, so he hops out of the car, right? He get out of the car, flip the seat down, boom, hit her once. So he shot her.
Where did he shoot her?
Oh, I don't know. I couldn't see exactly where he shot her at all. And then she's not dead yet, so Rob sees that and he shoots her to make sure she's dead. So Layla got one headshot and then Camille got two because she wasn't dead yet.
For once, Rob agreed with Taj, at least partially. Before his mom left the police station, he told this to the police.
It was 3-5 that did that. 3-5 dropped the seat and shot the girl, and he shot her in the head. And Taj like, shoot the in the back, shoot the back. 3-5 dropped the back seat and he shot the girl. She was still alive. He's like, finish her. So he shot her again.
3-5, police knew, was Chris's street name. Still, something wasn't quite right. After getting this far, the police were not willing to accept anything short of the full truth.
Now, Reaper, Rob, there's a lot of similarities that are overlapping here, but there's definitely a discrepancy that Rob told us about what happened to the person in the trunk.
That he's trying to make him the shooter, right? Yeah, that's what y'all leaving out. I mean, be honest. Be honest. We being all being honest here. Just be honest. Is he the shooter? That's what they're saying. That's all you gotta do. That's all you gotta do is just say it. I mean, stop going around.
I can tell you that he is not. You, Chris, are not being blamed for those people in the front seat.
In the back seat is with the trunk. It's the one that
we have some issues with the trunk.
I'm gonna keep it real about.
Tell us.
Be honest, baby. It's okay.
You're gonna feel so much better. You're gonna feel so much better. You're gonna feel so much better once you talk about what his.
Say it. Just say it.
Make us some shit then.
Everybody I know.
Yeah, there you go.
So tell us what you did.
He said he was gonna kill everybody I know. Yeah.
That was obvious.
Who made you do it? Who is it? Rob. Rob made you do it? Yeah. He said he gonna kill everybody you know. Well, who is the X-Man? I don't know who that is.
Now, did you
Just calm down. I like it.
Yet again, Rob said something different. Before his mom left the station, he had shared this information.
Taj made him kill the person, or he was gonna kill 3-5.
Is that what he said? He told
He told 3-5, if you don't kill this girl, I'm gonna shoot you in your head.
Let's go on here. He said that he was going to kill everybody you know. If you did fire a gun, tell me about what you did.
I think I shot the girl. I don't know where it was, but.
Was it covering for each other?
Shot her too.
Okay.
Who did?
Rob.
Okay. So when you shot her, what gun did you use when you shot her?
The ex dude gave me the Scott.
If Chris used Taj's firearm, that would explain why they only found 2 weapons during the search warrant. This brought up another question, though, which the detectives had addressed with Rob and his mom.
So that's my concern here, is that you said that Taj was pretty much orchestrated this and was concerned that 3-5 would snitch on him. So he made him
3-5 do that.
But you saying that he was completely fine with you not taking any part of that?
Yes, with me, he just told me, if you snitch, cut, I'm gonna kill you.
With his mom there, Rob insisted that he was innocent. Now that she was gone, though, the police hoped he might be more forthcoming.
I honestly don't think you're a cold-blooded killer. I know Taj, I've dealt with him, and I've dealt with you. And there's a reason I wanted to talk to you. Because I don't think you're that dude. I don't think you're a cold-blooded killer. Taj, I don't know anything about 3-5. I've never met. But I'm telling you,
classic strat.
The evidence says that you were there and that you shot someone. There is no explaining that.
Evidence is gonna tell you that I'm there, but all I can tell you is that I didn't shoot nobody. Did you shoot her?
No. Because I got information that somebody that was in the car had a thing for it, and you couldn't do it. So somebody else did it.
No.
Okay?
That's not true.
Your brother's talking. Is there any reason why he would be telling me that you shot one of those people if you didn't do it?
Police likely used this as a tactic to get Rob to talk and hopefully reveal the truth. Perhaps this was how Amy knew Camille was deceased before the detectives contacted her. In Chris's interrogation room, his mother struggled to come to terms with what he'd done.
You shot somebody that's dead. What the This is a homicide. This is 3 people. That's serious. You gonna kill my family. What am I supposed to do?
That's what
I understand. That's what we're trying to tell you in front of the
Now, Chris, take a deep breath.
Just calm
Take a deep
down.
breath. Now, listen to me. When you say that someone threatens your family and threatens you, I need to put it in the report. Take a deep breath.
Please tell me, what am I supposed to do then?
Chris's mom didn't have an answer to that. She asked one of the detectives if she could step out for a moment to compose herself.
Well, he know I live, and he knows my whole family. He was gonna kill my whole
Are you
family.
talking about Reaper? Or
Yeah, she probably wants to smack the soul out of him, to be honest.
Reaper.
Or faking
He
it.
was gonna kill my.
Let's talk about X-Men real quick. I think you know who X is, and I think you're scared of him. Rightfully so.
They both said it was gonna kill my family.
Okay.
They both said that?
What the fuck is X-Man? It's
Did
not
they ever point a gun
X-Man,
at
it's
you or anything
X-Man.
like that?
Yeah.
Who pointed a gun at you?
The X-Man. He was like, don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody. I'm gonna kill you down. Kill your mom.
Rob also told the detectives that he and Chris were in serious danger at the time of the crime.
Let me tell you something about Taj. Taj tell you he's finna do something, and you decide not to do it with him, then I probably would have died with him.
So were you afraid of Taj that night? Because
if I did not do what Taj wanted me to do, I would have died that night with them.
Taj is that bad a dude?
Bro.
Taj, on the other hand, claimed Rob.
Even under duress, that in that scenario, he has a gun in his hand. He would have to establish a scenario where that threat is ongoing. Otherwise, he could just kill him instead.
Rob always planned to let him take the blame.
If anything, if one of us go down to anything, then Todd, it was you. You did it.
What's the original marker? So if somebody says, "Yo, kill this person," or "I'm killing you," okay, then I kill him instead. What? It's a simple concept.
Dang, you did it. Legit. You shot everybody in the car. It was not me. If he got caught up, then then he was gonna go find my mom. The whole night I did not have a gun.
Rob continued with his story, claiming that he only participated out of fear.
Did Taj tell you to put the gun to somebody?
that Taj told me he told me he gonna kill Sosa. He wanted me
You
to
wouldn't get
shoot
murdered.
her.
You get self-defense.
He wanted 3-5 to shoot the girl in the back. I told him I didn't want to do it. Told me if I didn't do it, he was gonna kill me.
You hold the gun to Layla's head?
Yeah, but I tried to shoot it, but it clicked. I tried to shoot, but it clicked. Like, I didn't have it cocked back. I tried to shoot it and it clicked twice, so Gustavo just did it himself. That's why. I'm thinking my gun wasn't coming back.
Listen.
I'm telling y'all the truth, and y'all still think I'm lying. Like, what I'm supposed to do, bro?
Okay. So how long before he actually pointed the gun, he told you to shoot Layla?